Hey everybody, welcome. Good to see y'all. We're back after I believe we did the calculation 1 month to do the last session of Servants of Ecthelion, the Lord of the Rings 5e Gondorian campaign that we've been putting together. Ulysses, I think you typically have the best notes. Do you want to give a recap on where we left off?
Yes, we started last session at the gates entering Umbar from the east, which kind of caused a little bit of a tizzy among the guards. But eventually, we were greeted at the gate by a man with balding white hair, burgundy clothes, gold accents on his regalia, with the air of a militant. And this ended up being the captain of the Haven. We were escorted through the city. Umbar seems prepared for battle at all times. This is a very heavily fortified, heavily staffed city with men at arms everywhere. No fanfare for us. Garwin discreetly picked up the sign of Ivandor, who was another ranger of Ecthelion, who was present in the crowd. So, despite the fact that there are soldiers all over the city, we felt that at least we have one or two allies within keeping tabs on us. We went to a large tower into an out of the way room, and we began a treaty negotiation between two kingdoms. The captain of the Haven asked that Gondor recognize Umbar as a kingdom, and then, if so, asked that we not sail south of Tolfalis. This began a whole series of back and forths of basically debating the nature of, well, if we can't go here, you can't go above, to disagreements over Harandor, conversations about, recognizing Peligir and South Ithilien as Gondor. They want Solantir recognized as theirs. So we're in a kind of a standoff when it comes to the geography of recognition. And then, of personal note, he asked for his sons to be returned to Gondor and conferred with nobility. I think we found that a lot of people of Numenorian blood within Umbar these days are, in one way or another, kind of are exiles from Gondor. Both Crithiel and Zachariah were very successful with their entreaties and made ground with the captain of the Haven. Unfortunately, both Garwin and Silmarion either under or overspoke their charge and caused some distance. And so I think we ended with the conversation on an edge of going one way or the other.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes. I think you needed one. Am I right in saying that you needed one more success in order
Correct.
yeah, pull that
Yes.
out? Yep.
And we have one fellowship point left.
Yes. And who is the person who did not make their check or has not made a check yet? Do we recall?
Everyone's made it. Everyone has
So,
tried.
so
And I
now it's
think what happened in the aftermath of last session. So from an audience stream perspective, that's where we left things off.
mm-hmm.
In the aftermath, the three or four of us kind of conferred, and we've come up with a plan. Because the captain of the Haven did make a request that at least one of us stay captive in Umbar as a token of good faith, i.e., a hostage piece. And we asked, we went off screen in our conference. We've kind of worked out a plan on how to kind of try to sum things up, and we're going to offer Zachariah as the person who stays behind, because he is a scholar, he is interested in lore. There's clearly an abundance of records and scrolls, things here that the historian in him would love to tap into. And quite frankly, he may be of more use to the captain of the Haven and the government of Umbar with all his knowledge and deep lore.
And most importantly to Zechariah, he doesn't see any reason why they would need to kill him. So he feels rather safe, because why would they kill me? There's no, I don't have anything against them. And Zechariah also feels that once they get, they're just being silly. They're being stupid in how they're not, worrying about the things in the East, how they're not embracing a treaty right off the bat. And Zechariah full-heartedly, and perhaps is a bit too not full of himself, but he's not a vain person, but he does think that he could solve things if people would just listen. He has a slight inkling that if everybody else is gone and it's just him with all these folks, maybe he'll just talk them into it. Maybe they'll just, after a while, they'll just not be stupid. So yeah, he definitely feels that way.
Perfect. Yeah. Let's see. So I'm not sure how long this session will be tonight. It probably depends on your success on this next check. I think that your level of success in the last session means that you kind of got the odds stacked in your favor tonight, and so this could be a just smooth sailing from start to finish. We'll find out though.
By the way, is that really, really fair to the stream audience?
No, that's why.
Don't they want to see blood?
Don't
they want to see blood?
It's not going to be smooth sailing. I can promise you that. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So, so you've been talking with the captain of the guard, which he, as Ulysses mentioned, this fellow has been very much like, if you recall, he took you into this like side room, basically. Like, somebody had a word for how they described it, but I think either Zach Francis or Brian, you described it. I think it was Zach. You described it as like in the Phantom Menace when the Jedi at the beginning are taken into the like side room of the ship to get gassed, right? Yeah. There's this idea that like initially that you're not important, or they're kind of like tucking you into a corner, but then as you kind of got into it, you realize that they probably the city has probably been commanded or directed to not give you over too much attention, and that this situation is probably one of privacy and lack of like extreme officialness allows them to have even more so. So just as kind of a note, that's kind of where you've been, and certainly the fact that he is negotiating for, as part of this agreement, for his sons to have domain again, both in Gondor near Lebanon, and also at Salentir potentially. And I think that's kind of where the negotiations stalled out, right? Because the big hanging point is that Gondor, Ulysses, you I think the argument was, and Mr. Francis, I think that was this you that kind of tried to spearhead this, and kind of that's where we ended up in conflict.
Yeah, I didn't mean to. I was just mostly saying like, hey, this place is right on this border. Are you sure you want it? If you're really not worried about, Mordor, like that's, maybe you should just let us have that then. And it sounded more like we don't want to give it to you, and less of a trust me, you don't want this.
Yeah.
So now we're kind of
Yeah,
Well, why
because
don't you want to give us this?
yeah, and they were yeah exactly, and they were basically like, well, if you're taking Polar Gear, we'll keep Salentir, right? And that was kind of
Yeah.
the back and forth. And so my question to the lot of you is: now we've had 4 weeks for you to ponder this and determine the true value of Polar Gear and Salentir. Um, do you have suggestions or other arguments or notes for this last kind of crucial piece of the pie?
Oh yeah. The Suns want a piece of Gondor. They want to be right near to Mordor. Then that's our key. That's our wedge. They get a piece of Gondor. They get to be right next to Mordor, and now the people have their family, their people have an incentive, an obligation as feudal lords to fight Gondor. When Mordor comes, sorry, not to fight Gondor, to fight Mordor. When Mordor comes to their gates, it's going to come marching across their fields, and they're going to have to defend it. And that's our number one goal, is to get them to have a stake, have them have a stake in the future of Gondor, to have them be integrated with Gondor, to be an alliance with Gondor, and to have a stake against Mordor. This is perfect. I couldn't ask for anything better.
And I
Give
would,
them the
I would, I would frame a pragmatic and a high-minded duo. The pragmatic is you recognize Peligir and South Ithilien as part of Gondor. Will recognize Selentir as part of Umbar. The lands in between will be agree to disagree for now, a demilitarized zone between us, in which the future adjudication is subject to how we work together going forward. Okay? So we get recognition of stuff that's critical to us. You get recognition of stuff that's critical to you. You're officially, for the first time, recognized as an independent kingdom. And we're agreeing that this boundary area, which historically is South Gondor, and Harandor, which is historically ours in terms of claim, which is made de facto not so much ours, but we're just going to agree to that to be a demilitarized zone. That we both have claims, and if we're drawing a map, we'd have that in kind of a diagonal alternating stripe. And then I have a more high-minded argument to make, but I'll pause there because that's probably something we should do in council.
Yeah, and I think I love this. So to kind of recap, and again, this is for people at home. Probably a lot of you don't necessarily need this, but just as a note. So the terms of the agreement in full would be that, as Ulysses mentioned before, Umbar would be recognized as a kingdom unto itself. Also, there's an agreement on warship sailing up and down the coast, right? That there's kind of a zone of where not Tolfalas, the island of Tolfalas, where Umbar is agreeing not to sell warships farther north than that, and you're agreeing not to sell warships south from that. And trade ships are a different matter potentially. And then the domains of the Suns, and then this last piece. It sounds like to me that obviously you got to take this back and pitch it and confirm it with Ecthelion. But what you're saying here is you're willing to cede Salentir as a locale of Gondor to Umbar as a show of good faith, provided that Umbar allows Pelargir and Ithilien to be recognized as Gondor, not contested at all, and that we demilitarize and kind of put a pin in the rest of Harandor / South Gondor.
Yep.
If that's the terms, Ulysses, I think as you kind of you had the you took the notes and you laid it out. I would like for you to make this final test here with regards to confirming that everything is going to work out just fine and dandy. You're going to need, I believe, do you recall the DC that we were making from last time? I believe it was 15, DC 15.
I actually thought it was higher than that.
Great, it's 20. Awesome.
15 sounds good.
Yeah.
I think it was a 20.
Okay, great.
In all
It's a 20.
seriousness.
Yeah, I think so. So the note here, right, is, and this is kind of our last foray into Free League's Lord of the Rings 5e, but the note here is that it's incredibly brutal to do councils in this way because you cannot have a failure. Now, we kind of fudged that a little bit by saying, like, if you fail, it just kind of odds get more stacked against you, but it isn't a total failure the first time you fail. Case in point, Mr. Francis Garwin failed, but the reality was that you guys had already gained a lot of momentum in this council. It wasn't like you failed as the first step right out the gate. So with the acknowledgement that you were already in his good graces, you've already started outlining terms, all this is rolling, right? Like, you had your situation offered a minor setback or a setback, but provided that there's a resolution to be found, and it seems like there is, we can continue on, right?
Can I throw out there, what can we do to, just, this is to the party, not to the GM, but what can we do to increase our odds? What can we bring to the table to make it so that they don't give up? I don't care if Armindon becomes theirs or what happens to the Harad Road. I don't care about those. How can we sweeten the pot to make sure that they're okay with this?
Well, I think we've given them an enormity of what, like, we're probably giving them more than they would have expected us to give, given the historical antagonisms between Gondor and Umbar. But I do think that the reason we have a DC 20 is because of some failure along the way, is what pushed it up from 15. I think that I'm hoping that our GM, if the high-minded argument is persuasive enough, he'll let us roll with advantage.
May I also point out that we do have a fleet of ships sailing down here that could be used for ill or for good. That's a bargaining chip. I don't think that threat is going to do us any good, and I think Zechariah would be terrified of using it as such. But I think as a, hey, we have a fleet and we can help you.
I think there are a few absolutes in our mission. I think one absolute rule is we cannot disclose the fleet. Umbar is itchy finger militarized. They will flip out if we mention anything about a fleet. And I would argue that the reason Ivandor is in Umbar watching for us and waiting for us is related to whether or not the fleet manifests.
Then we offer the use of a fleet. Then we're not threat. We offer.
They have a better fleet than we do.
Yes. I think I love where Brian's going with this, though. That there's this sense of it's not just a matter of like drawing a line and saying we both won't cross it, but Brian's suggestion is, I think, more that Gondor is the first one to kind of like throw their cards on the table and say, it's not that we're just going to draw a line, but if you need our help, we'll come help you. Is that the statement there, Brian? That it's a
that we have that. Hey, let's seal this alliance, and how navigable is the river from Selentir to Armindon and beyond? Are we able to? Is that navigable to the point where we could do a foray where we say, hey, we've all got enemies to the east. let's join arms together. There's nothing like a battle.
I think
I
you've
know.
like. I think you're smoking a hookah. I think you're smoking a hookah.
I know.
That is
I'm just
nuts.
I'm looking for any advantage,
We-
and I'm
but
looking.
we already gave them so much. You're like such a conciliatory facilitator. Like these people are the
I want
enemy we're
Mordor
trying to
to not
neutralize.
invade us. I want Mordor to be threatened off the map, and that is the only that's the only thing that I care about. And if they're willing to join arms with us, hey, what better way to cement an alliance than to fight with each other?
But we've just given the Russians Poland, Lithuania, Estonia, Latvia, the Ukraine, and Romania. And you're like, oh, maybe we should throw in Italy. Like, no.
I don't know that's
No,
that close. Yeah.
We have given the Russians all of those, and we've somehow managed to shake hands, and now we're deciding that we're going to join arms against the aliens, and it's going to be a great thing.
I think
No offense to any Russians in the crowd.
There's at least
I love the Russian in the crowd. And I love Russian culture tremendously.
So the other piece of this, because I can't let you make a final roll without offering a note here. So I think that.
And by the way,
yeah, go ahead.
after you say what you say, I'd love to hear what Krithiel and Garwin have to say about things.
Listen, all I was going to say, I have two things to say. First one is smile. Everybody loves a smile. It's got to rhythm a little bit, right? No, in all seriousness, I mean, what's something that everybody wants to hear, right? Is that they're wanted or needed in some kind of way, right? So, hey, we want you to be part of this because of all these great things that you have accomplished in this city on your own with no help. That's fantastic. Like, what the frick? That's amazing that you just kind of built this city in X amount of years, and you guys are, maybe not thriving to the point of, Minas Tirith, but you guys are really doing a great job. We want to be partners with you, not against you, the fight for Middle-earth. And not necessarily buttering them up, but just being completely honest with them, right? Letting them know, hey, we don't want this just so that you don't attack us. We want this so that we have allies, because you guys are good, especially with your fleets. Kind of butter them up a little bit, but also being very truthful. And I think if you say it in a way that's very truthful, it'll come across that way. And
Are we all Numenorians in the end?
I agree with you, Garwin. I like that tact. I like it a lot. Krithiel?
Krithiel didn't even want to give them Selentir, so if you think we tell the Russians we're giving you Lithuania, the Russian response is going to be, so all of Scandinavia, then we agree. We like Norwegian oil.
I think that I think that to me, if I was going to offer advice, I think that, or a note, I guess, is that I think that there's a powerful tool that Ryan is mentioning here with the arms, and I think he's in the right. Zachariah is in the right mindset, probably more so, which I think is a very cool thing. That Zachariah is in this mindset of Sauron's the enemy. Any allies that we can get to throw at the enemy with us is fantastic. But the cool thing, the thing that I like about this discussion is that in this era, most Gondorians are not wholly focused on Sauron, and their problems are largely with focus. They see the problems as being south as opposed to east, and so what we're seeing here, I think, is this conflict of the immediate enemy, or the the enemy of yesterday and the enemy of potentially of today being Umbar, versus Zachariah having the long-term, future view of the greater enemy is on the horizon, and here's what we got to do. So, I think that this is very cool. That said, the question I think was, what can we do to improve our odds? And here I will cut to the quick and say, as much as I think that it's completely reasonable to propose the military alliance or something of that nature, if you want to, for this specific check, you would not improve the check of this particular test. You'd not improve the DC unless you made other rolls about the militarization or the military alliance agreement. So it's probably a roundabout way to get there. That said, I am completely comfortable, kind of, I guess, supporting Salintier / Andrew's statement with saying that, and with Ulysses before, that you have definitely offered a meaningful agreement. You've offered a sizable acknowledgement of Umbar and the captain's demands or requests. So in this case, Ulysses, your request for advantage is approved. If you had asked for, if you had said no to Salintier and offered nothing in return, then you probably would have had disadvantage. And if you would have offered something other than Salintier, you might have had just the standard roll. But because you're kind of saying, yes, Salintier's definitely on the table here, we're willing to cede that for these other things, you can have advantage on this check.
Now, Crithiel's suggestion for Salintier, if I recall from the last time, was that Salintier would remain Gondorian,
Yes.
but would be ruled by one of his sons with a Gondorian,
Absolutely.
wife as part of Gondor. Therefore, it would essentially be his son who rules it, but under Gondorian name.
So the note that, initially he was in favor of that, but when Gondor requested Pelargir, basically he's cool with all of that still being in place, but he as far as there being his son ruling it, and there being a Gondorian spouse in the mix and all that, but he's saying, hey, if we're ceding Pelargir, then I need to be able to say that we got Salintier in kind. So arguably Salintier is going to be shared because it's going to be joint ruled by, his son plus another house in Gondor.
Yes, that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So I think, Ulysses, is there a skill that you would like to apply to this?
Well, I think at this point, this is about persuading.
Yep.
This is persuasion.
Yep. And if you roll really well, I have a surprise for you. So you get a bonus. Yeah, there's a bonus applied to this.
All right.
Oh,
So
boy.
thank you for granting advantage. And just know that if we fail the DC 20 on this, I will immediately use that last fellowship point, which, based on our patron, allows us to re-roll.
Yep.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So you want me to go straight to the roll?
Let's do it. Yeah.
Okay.
This is a negotiation, and the terms
okay.
have been outlined. Yep.
For all the marble.
For all the marbles.
Well, some of the marbles, because you gave up the others. So.
Yes.
All the marbles except for Salantier.
That's right, except for a big black one.
Okay. Here's the first of the two advantage rolls. 26.
Hey.
Oh my gosh.
All right.
If we
yeah.
say Salantier, I already need Salantier.
Yeah. Go ahead and roll. Go ahead and roll another one just to see if you can get that magic 20.
Get that crit. Oh, man.
No. Okay. Well, we'll keep. So that was a 26 and a 14, folks. We're gonna go with the 26, which does in fact put you in bonus territory. 25 being the thing that you need to hit her blow past. So in this chamber, you managed to come to an agreement with with the captain, and it's not a short discussion, and there's definitely like we've seen several back and forths, but at the end of the day, he seems pleased, um, and he acknowledges, he says, yeah, you are, of course, expected to return to Minas Tirith, the White City. There is an expectation that Zachariah will remain. There's kind of a discussion on those terms, but he acknowledges that though these terms have been outlined here and agreed upon by everyone here, there are other members that must come to accept this agreement as well. So all that kind of gets nutted out. At the end of this, he kind of steps up from the table, and he kind of looks at you all, and then moves and walks, kind of like he's moving towards the door for a minute, and then he says, kind of turns and he says, you haven't seen much of the city. You haven't seen much of the city. Much of Numenor has been erased, but there are pockets of memory that remain inside these walls, and you may stay as some days if you wish, but even if you intend on leaving with the next sunrise, before you leave, I would show you some of the wonders of Umbar that remain.
Yes.
Before we leave, I'll
You're
let's
not
do
leaving.
a tour. I
You're
know.
not
I
leaving.
say it a little sarcastically,
Yeah.
a little overconfident because of our recent successes. I'm like, yeah, sure, yeah, let's take a tour because I won't get to see the city.
We can show you the second locked room that you'll be allowed to stay in.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
Of the two rooms, we can show you the second one.
I'm
Or you can
slightly
stay
worried
in-
about what would happen if I were to go straight back to Minas Tirith after talking everyone into handing over large swaths of Gondor.
Yeah, that's the other value thing is,
I'm safer here.
Zachariah's like, you know what? I can offer a lot of things because I don't have to answer for it. That's awesome. So the captain, with that, he will take you and kind of like take you to the walls of the city, and he'll show you different things. One thing he'll show you, of course, and I'll just show a quick picture. Couple quick pictures here. Let's share the screen here for folks at home too. You'll see this black fleet here, kind of out in the harbor, and that is, you saw the beginnings of it when you came in, but now kind of at this vantage point, you're able to see a sizable fleet, and especially Solentir and or not Solentir, but Crithale and Silmarion kind of looking out at this fleet. You recognize the sheer odds that are stacked against Thorongil and the fleet that has been amassing on Gondor's side. You've in your lifetime you have never seen the Black Fleet in all of its might on the coast of Gondor, and seeing it here is definitely intimidating. However, that is not the most interesting thing that you see. in this bonus scenario. After the fleet has been shown to you, the captain will turn to Zechariah and say, "You're a scholar of the city. Tell me, what interest have you in relics?"
An intellectual as well as a practical, and just about any other reason for an interest. That that would be my interest. Yes, relics are interesting to me.
Mm. He says, "I will show you something. Know that what I reveal to you here is known by very few outside my own house and a handful of others within the city. I show it to you not simply as a matter of curiosity, but as a glimpse behind the curtain into the strength that Umbar has in its own arsenal and that it can put to use for the good or ill of its neighbors." He will then take you down another section of the city, kind of back into the royal chambers, then down kind of into the belly of the stronghold. And in the belly of this stronghold, he takes you through several small corridors into almost something that you would call like a catacomb or something like that. And in these kind of isolated, closed off, heavily guarded chambers, he comes to one that is locked behind a great door. He produces a key, unlocks this great lock with the turn key, and as you step into it, this is what you see.
I had a hunch.
Wow.
It is a gold pedestal of sorts, and kind of nestled within that pedestal, you see a black orb of substantial size, perhaps 24 inches in diameter, and glistening with light and with gold, and with this, like, you might call it steam or fog kind of lightly rolling off of it. And he turns to you, Zechariah, and he says, "Do you know what this is?"
I have a good hunch that Zachariah does. What I'd like to ask is to the GM is I feel like I would know a Seeing Stone, a Palantir, but would I know that they aren't all accounted for? Would that be something that I could, if I get a high roll, that I could
50 years
know?
from now, 50 years from now, you do know that.
I do 50 years from now, that is for sure. But would I know that they aren't accounted for when I walk in the room and glance at it?
Give me a what is it called? An old lore
Old lore, yeah.
check. Yeah, here. Zach, you're muted, by the way. Don't want you to not know that.
No, yeah, you're good. I appreciate it.
Okay, 1d7, and then this I have a.
Is it still on? Yeah.
You're good, you're good.
I'm trying to see if I have any other. No, okay. 24.
Woo-hoo!
24. Yeah. You You probably are not aware of how many scene stones there are, but you know that some. You know of a few. You know of probably at least a handful that were in the realm of Gondor as opposed to the realm of Arnor up above, right, to the north. So you would know that there is one in. That there should be one in Minas Tirith or Minas Anor. You know that there was one in Minas Ithil, which has probably been lost, you would assume. Um, and then the other one, the third one that I think you would know of, yeah, and the one that you would guess that this is the larger stone of Osgiliath. There was not a stone in Umbar. You're certain of that.
Okay. So would I know that there is, from being being a scholar in Gondor, where we have Palantirs,
Mm-hmm.
Would I know I would have seen that they are used or that they are not used because it's too dangerous and they don't know who has them and they wouldn't want to use them. Would I have safety measures in my mind as I noticed this,
I'm not sure.
based on what the folks in Gondor would be doing?
Yeah, I'm not sure that you would know a lot about safety measures or things of that nature at this point in time. Just you know that they're a device, a scene stone. You know that that some of them are lost. You don't know where they are. You obviously there's one here, but you don't know. You're not privy. You're not high enough in the order to know like what the stewards do with their stone. You've never seen the stone of Minas Anor. So you can interpret that how you will. If Zechariah would approach this with caution or with whatever curiosity, but certainly you would know that it is a magical artifact of seen between multiple locations.
If I only know of these ones and I don't know about about other ones lost and things like that, then I think I would be rather giddy with excitement.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I would be very excited about the possibilities of communication, of learning more, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
I would wonder whether we could communicate back to Gondor with it. I would be probably asking many questions or trying to sound much smarter than I am, and as if I already don't know everything and don't need to ask the questions, but subtly asking the questions. So yeah, I would be rather giddy with excitement. And in that case, I would not throw my cloak over it.
I would imagine that given his level of scholarship, he would know the elves forged them, gave them to the Numenorians, and gave the humans 7 of them.
Yeah,
total.
I think that probably you just don't know what the deal is with the ones in the north, right? Like there's ones that are up there that you don't really have any business with. And you rolled a 26, is that right, Brian?
24.
24. So the other piece that I would say that you would know is, this is you know that the stone in Osgiliath was called the Master Stone of the South.
Okay.
So you can read into that what you want, or into it what you want there, but Osgiliath was said to have held the Master Stone, and that it was of substantial size compared to the others. So,
hey Zach,
the one I expect is this one is, or
that's what you would, that's you. So doing a tally, right? You don't know where the ones in the north went. You don't know for a fact, but if you assume that Minas Anor has one was lost during the kin strife in Osgiliath, and one was lost in Minas Ithil. It could be the Minas Ithil stone, but you would be shocked if somehow Umbar covered that one. your guess, based on the fact that it was lost during the Kinstrife of Gondor, is that this stone here is the stone of Osgiliath.
Okay, got it. Yeah.
Hey, Zach, just from a Lord of the Rings perspective, depending on how this session ends, we have by and large been very successful in our diplomatic missions, right?
Yes.
And theoretically, if things stay as they are, we've created a peace treaty between Umbar and Gondor.
Yes.
But in the same way that having a Palantir corrupted Saruman, corrupted Denethor, would it be logical that a master Palantir in Umbar would eventually corrupt them and bring them under Sauron's sway, which they are at the time of the trilogy?
From a meta perspective, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That is very cool.
Yeah. So the captain, he says, as he's kind of standing in the doorway. He's not going in and around it, right? But he is showing you this, and he says, this stone is under the care of the line of captains, much as other relics in Gondor are certainly under the care of the steward. And he says, each one of us is trained when we take office and take the oath in its utility, though he kind of does a quick glance over to you again. He says, though we are loath to use it often. And then he says, it is oft a contest of wills. The stone seems keen at times to show things of its choosing, as opposed to that of the captain. And it is a taxing event, but it is not without its value. It's not without its merit, and it has allowed us to see things and witness opportunities that otherwise would have slipped past us in the night. And he says, looking at Zechariah, he says, do you know more of this stone? What can you tell me about it?
I would have to examine it closer, and perhaps even if given an opportunity, look into it to figure out more about the stone itself. But
do you imagine that you have the will within you to do so, to bend it?
Certainly.
And he kind of gestures to the stone. And he says,
young and dumb, yeah.
Under my supervision, and understanding that your companions may be required to pull you from it. If you wish to investigate it, and if investigating it, searching it, might provide you with more insights that you could provide to myself and to the further line of captains, I would grant you this. Here, amongst your companions, such that they understand that you are voluntarily taking this risk, and that it will be up to them and myself to pull you out should your will become fractured.
Yes. Yeah. I'm looking at everyone else.
So Murray and Crithiel and Garwood just look at each other. Mm-hmm. Okay. Colin, wait. All right. One of the most remarkable memories I have of going to any museum was going to the Natural History Museum, American Museum of Natural History, and there was an anthropological exhibit of Siberian shaman. And when the Siberian shaman was doing a particular ritual where he was communing with the other world, he had a thin rope tied around his waist that others would hold in case he was in danger of slipping into that other world.
Yes.
And I always thought that was the coolest thing. And I almost feel we have to do that with Zechariah.
It reminds me of, you guys know I grew up in the church and studied ministry. And Zach, I'm guessing you know where I'm going with this. The high priest, when they would go into the Holy of Holies in the tabernacle or the Jewish temple, would have a rope tied around their waist, so that if they did the sprinkling of lamb's blood on the Ark of the Covenant, if they did all of that wrong and they were struck dead, then they could be pulled back out, because otherwise they would defile it, because no one would be going back into there for a whole nother year.
Yeah.
So yeah, it reminded me of that.
Mm-hmm.
So sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, and to be fair, like, that this is a relic, that this is a thing of magic and power. Certainly, you wouldn't feel that it was an evil artifact, just a powerful one at this point in time. So your curiosity and your confidence isn't completely unfounded given current level of knowledge and understanding of the situation. So go ahead and just tell me about how you wish to approach this.
Well, I would definitely, I think I would, first off, I'd just try and investigate, just give it a good look and, see if I can remember anything about it, whether it is definitely the Master Stone, see if there's anything that I can do, just kind of, as one would look at any artifact, okay, let's give it the magical once over sort of thing. I definitely would try and look at it out of curiosity. Not, that's the thing about Zechariah. He's a coward when it comes to fighting people, but he feels overconfident in his ability with magic and with history and lore. And so I think he would investigate from a standard of, what can I learn? What is this? Not a matter of, is this thing going to kill me? Because I don't think that would go through his mind.
Sure.
So yeah, I think that is what I would do, is I would start with investigation.
Okay. Yeah, give me that investigation roll.
Okay.
Yeah.
Don't want to roll
fine.
before the GM says.
No, that's fine. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. Investigation, I have 1d20 plus 5 and an additional d4 because of my history book of Gondor. So, wow. Okay, so that got it up to a 17.
17. Yeah, so as you guys kind of make your way up closer to it and you kind of like, give it your full attention, you maybe walk around the pedestal, you can see that as you get close, as proximity to it, you can see like the movement of this steam or fog kind of like increase and almost like swirl across the globe for a moment and then kind of evaporate out, and what you're left with is this black orb that as you look at it, you kind of get the sense of coloration, like you can see purples and yellows and greens like deeper in it, and you think that like you could start to make out shapes, as if there is something. It is not just marbled whirl of a surface, but there is something in the interior, like a snow globe effect or something like that, right? And you begin to see, I think, probably like 2 and then 3 smaller orbs kind of nestled inside its interior. But as Brian may know, but certainly Zechariah does not, in order to fully engage with the stone, you must take possession of it.
Yeah, I feel like Zechariah would reach
Yeah.
down. I don't know if he'd pick it up because he'd be
No.
worried about if it's a big heavy orb and he's not the strongest guy.
Yeah.
He'd be worried about dropping it. But I think lifting it, putting his hands underneath it
Yes.
there.
Absolutely. As you
And
place,
as I see multiple orbs there, I would try and if I have the mental capacity and the arcane capacity to try to reach out to those orbs, if I recognize the one from Gondor, even by description of the size or things like that, I would try to reach out.
I love
My
that.
first inclination is this is a powerful communication device. We could, let people. We could communicate with Gondor from here. That would
Mhm.
be amazing. So yeah, that would be my first inclination. Is if I could reach out, I wouldn't think beyond that.
Yeah.
At first.
I love that. So let's do this. I'm gonna do this real quick here, and then I'll close it back up. But here is what you are seeing, kind of in that brief interaction, right? But as you reach to grasp it, and that's kind of like the essence of what is perceived. Go ahead as you take it, and as you try to bend the orb towards another orb that you intend on being Minas Anor. Go ahead and give me a wisdom saving throw, please.
Okie dokie. Do that. That would be.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. So you indeed you put your hands on it, and immediately as you gaze into it, through your mind you can see almost like your gaze is oriented to the north, and you can gaze across the fields of Harondor, across the desert, across the Anduin, and to that gleaming city. And then as you continue to press your will, you can push into the city, and you see in a chamber that you have never been in the higher levels, in the seventh tier of the city, you can see um, uh, 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 a as if you were gazing out of a similar orb. You could look around this small room, not dissimilar to the room that you're in now, but much more magnificent, and you're guessing much higher, and you can kind of see like daylight spilling in from one of the windows, and you can hear the muffled sound of uh, 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 Citadel guards just outside the room. Now you're welcome to bend your will and kind of like maneuver the eye, the not the eye, the orb's gaze elsewhere. But here, there's like no one in the proximity. Ecthelion or whoever would be in here isn't here to offer a direct commune. But you think that if they were in this room, you could interact with them, or at least you could see them.
Yeah, I make a mental note that it's possible to see and hear within Gondor. This might be a safety concern. I should probably let them know that if they make their way over. But I get the sense that I'm not going to get to hang on to this orb forever, and there's people waiting on me, and this is a kindness that they've done to me to let me see this, and they're looking for more information I can give them. So I'm going to move along, back. I'm going to zoom out if I can, see if that, we'll figure out how the controls on this sucker work.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm going to zoom back out since nobody's within,
Yep.
gazing distance.
As you do that, could I have the three of you who are out? So that would be Garwin and Crithael and Silmarian. Could I have all three of you give me insight checks, please?
Cool. Sure.
And then Brian, I need another will save from you.
Okay. Are we playing Pathfinder?
Wow,
Wolf?
I'm sorry.
that is 3 of the best
That's very good.
insight rolls ever.
Yeah, you guys slayed. Okay,
Whew.
excellent. So Brian, as you start to pull out of like wind back a bit, where are you intending to go here?
There's so I can generally see 3 orbs.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. And does the largest orb, does it look similar to the one that I'm looking into? 'Cause I can tell that's not.
That's hard to say. Yeah, it's not really. It's more
I
about.
can't.
You would guess. I mean, like
Yeah,
if you want to just like pursue another one, that's fine. If you just want to like toss a coin in that way, it's less about. It's more about what your will is, and less about what you're actually seeing. Like these are representations or symbolic. You're guessing, and less so that this is an actual orb out there. If that makes sense.
Yeah. First off, I see a large black glowy towering thing, and its shape is vaguely reminiscent of Minas Tirith.
Mm-hmm.
Do I, but it's dark and wavy and ominous looking. Do I get any sense of foreboding from that, or does it, when I came toward the other orb and tried to connect with it, did I seem to get
Yeah.
in any way closer to that Minas Tirith in the upside down sort of thing?
Sure.
Or
Yeah. So what the rest of you see is as Zachariah like pulls away from Minas Anor and sees this black structure that looks reminiscent to Minas Anor, he kind of turns the gaze towards the 3 of you, kind of watching him, can see like a little bit of a glaze start to form on his eyes, like he is peering far off, and something is affecting him. His body isn't seizing, he's not crying out or anything, but something is happening to his eyes as he gazes into this thing for more than just a few moments. Brian, Zachariah still has largely control of this thing.
Yeah.
And as you kind of turn and refocus on that, you start to like, for lack of a better term, you're to utilize a CSI term, you're zooming and enhancing, right? Enhance, zoom, enhance, and you're gazing at this like vague, like shimmering black thing, and as you kind of take focus on it, it starts to like, the shape of it starts to solidify, and you can see this black structure, and as you peer at it, it seems to be like growing, like you can see it's almost like if you imagine like 2 hands, and like one hand reaches up and like grasps higher, and then the other hand reaches up and grasps higher, and as these 2 hands kind of work in tandem, you can see like this tower, or this structure kind of slowly but steadily increasing in height and dimension. You don't think, now that you kind of see it more clearly, that this is the White City, nor is it just a mirrored image of it, but this is a structure of its own design and origin.
Interesting. If it seems associated, they want me to learn something. I need to prove that I am. So I'm acting recklessly.
Sure.
In that, if I'm going to get to be a part of this investigation and learn more about this, and get to use this to contact Gondor and get to go in and out of here, I need to get them important intel about this that, and I don't know what other people know, what
Yep.
other people have felt and done
Yeah.
and seen, but I am willing to be personally reckless in order to get this knowledge.
Okay.
Um, so yeah. That lure of this learning new secrets and stuff to make myself useful. So that said, if
So
I
two
see
things.
this
Are you
building,
going down your shadow path? Right. This is your path to corruption, right? Which is a cool dimension of the game.
Yeah.
And I think you just tripped the wire on that.
That's cool.
so yes. So yes, that is the lure of secrets is my shadow path. So I'm interested in if that seems to be associated with one of the orbs, I am interested in seeing what
Awesome.
I can learn about that. If there seems to be an association, if it just happens to be a floating vision that isn't associated with the orbs, then I'm not worried. But if there's 3 orbs and I know one of them is Minas Tirith and the other is likely,
Yep.
I don't know. I'm interested in whatever this
Yeah.
one is because it seems to be the most actionable intelligence.
Absolutely. So go ahead
Not
and
that I can't tell it's bad. I mean, the people don't, dark ominous towers building don't seem. It's not like I think it's good, but it seems
Right.
like the thing that I can find out the most useful thing about,
Yes.
especially given that I am terrified of Mordor and perhaps that seems like the most evil place to me.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to check out the evil thing.
So the other 3 of you, your insight check is going to carry over here. Brian, give me a wisdom save with disadvantage this time.
Okay. Okay, so there's 1. Oh, no. Slash roll 1d20 plus 3. Actually, I'm just going to do 2d20. So it's plus 3 on each. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Either one of those, 7 or a 7 or a 4.
You critically failed.
It would be a 4.
Yeah.
It'd be a 4. It's a crit fail.
Yeah, crit fail. Okay, interesting. So the other 3 of you immediately pick up on the sense of a presence, an awareness other than you and the captain being in this room. You don't know exactly what a scene stone is. You don't know what it might do, but there is a shift in the atmosphere of this room. A chill kind of pours out of this orb, and you don't know what Zachariah is seeing, but you get the sense that there has been a sudden shift in
Does the Elven King Great Spear that I found in treasure when we killed the troll, Angular, does it glow?
That's a cool idea. No, it doesn't. That's a cool idea though. But as you guys are welcome to holler out if you want to do anything at any moment.
Crit fail does.
Yeah. Okay.
Because her weapon and her ability to fend off the shadow, she will, in feeling the cold and this presence, regardless of what it is, she will instinctively light her blade, which glows with sunlight.
Oh, that's cool.
And she will put her let me think about what she would do with her. Yeah, I think she's gonna hold the blade out, and she's going to hold on to her blade. And she's gonna put her hand on Zachariah's shoulder. Create a connection between the blade of light against the shadow and him.
That's very cool. Okay.
Not pull him out.
Zach, you're on mute. I know you know that, but I'm going to ask you a question here. So you see
Yep.
Krithel light her sword and then kind of extend her hand out. You now see like the eyes of Zachariah are fully glazed, and you can see you know with your ranger, you kind of like see every like little tick of this person in the moment, right? And you see um, Zachariah hands have turned almost like to talons or something, in that he has like gripped the edges of this orb so tightly and so with such intensity. Um, and you can see his body is like almost vibrating with the rigidity of it. Like he is locked into something here.
I would probably. I would probably kind of freak out a little bit and be like, okay, do we need to pull him off of this? And I'd kind of look to the rest of the team and be like, what do you want me to do? And I'll kind of like have my hand like on his shoulder, ready to just pull him away.
Mm-hmm.
What does the captain of the Haven do?
He
Or said?
he is standing kind of like not against the wall, but away from this, and he is just watching all of you with an intensity, like seeing how you all handle this situation, but offering no, warning or support or criticism. It is just a heavy observation. As you hesitate here for a moment, Zachariah, you, as you turn your gaze with an intent, immediately you find that it's like it's almost as if like if you think about like paddling upstream, like you're just like going, and it's a tough go, but what you've been doing is you've been paddling upstream this whole time without being aware of it. And even though your strokes have been strong and you've been able to guide the ship where you wanted to go, turning your gaze to this locale is like turning the boat into the current. And all of a sudden now you feel yourself rocketing towards another space. And at this other space, you see you are now turned more towards the northeast, and as you are swept up into this city that is not dissimilar to Minas Anor. You would know this city. You would judge this city to be Minas Ithil, the sister city of Minas Tirith, and you rocket up its ramparts, and the gleaming, like catching in the moonlight glow of the walls, and giving the city its name, and then into a room that is again like the mirror of the one you were just in. But in this room, you are not alone. In this room, as finally the rocketing slams hard into a stop inside another orb, you see that you are gazing at an entity in black with an iron crown of some sort, like resting upon empty space where a head would be, and you see eyes of flame kind of looking out from it. And this entity is seated in some sort of a throne or large ornate chair, like just gazing at you as you are impacted into this space.
And this is Minas Ithil, you said?
Yes, you would assume.
And that is, I presume, somewhere. Brian doesn't know the lore. That I presume that's some sort of now Mordor didn't used to be sort of thing.
It's Minas Morgul, right?
Yes, it's Minas Morgul.
Minas Morgul. Okay.
It's just before it was called Minas Morgul, its Gondorian name is Minas Ithil. So.
Okay, got it. So,
What,
Yeah.
what as Brian resolves what he wants to do at Zachariah, what is the physical manifestation in the room now?
That's what. So you guys I kind of did a precursor for you guys of this, right? So,
Okay.
um, yeah, what, um, uh, you kind of got a little bit of a subtext as Brian was diving in. Um, Brian, though, as you are here, you have a voice that is present in your mind, a voice with a will of its own, and the voice um, asks of you your name.
When you feel appropriate, I know that Crithiel's got one hand on one shoulder and Garwin's grabbed the other shoulder, but Silmarian is going to grab Zachariah around the waist and Heimlich him off the stone.
So Brian here, will definitely let that happen. But as that, in this moment of him wrapping around you, time is certainly not completely disassociated, but there is a moments here. How would you respond, or would you respond to that?
I would. I'm going to make a roll for my benefit here.
Sure.
I would just say, "Oh, you wouldn't have heard of me. I'm a student."
The voice in your head rumbles, and says, "A student of Gondor in Umbar." And then there is a second question, a follow-up question that says, "Why?"
I'm a student of everything.
Uh, then there is a follow-up. Where is the captain? Ah. Then there's a moment. There's a start of a question there, and then there's a catch, and it says, "Ah, he is here, as are others." He says, "Who are they, your companions?"
They're not students. Do you have things you'd like to teach?
He says, "So many things, young scholar." And at that moment, you feel as Ulysses described it, the Heimlich of this wrenching as your body is pulled from the orb and into the space of the auditorium again, and your mind is hauled with it. If well, you know what, we care about it. Go ahead and give me a Constitution save now, Brian.
All righty. We actually got +2 somehow. Oh, because I have two points in it.
By the way, the reason this is for Andrew's benefit. The reason that Brian was not forced to make a save to force answer all of that was because you and then Garwin and had kind of like added your support and also your light to his role, so he kind of had more will there. Brian, a 7 is not going to cut it. So as you get wrenched out of this space, if you could you please take 8 points of psychic damage?
Okie doke.
Now you are back in this room. and I'll leave it to you guys to figure out what you want to do from there in this moment.
Are you okay, Zachariah?
Yeah, yeah. I'm fine.
What
I'm
happened?
doing real good. No, no, no. He's lying through his teeth.
What?
So
What?
that was a deception roll.
What happened in there?
So uh, I uh, I learned more about the relic. I I think I have some information I can share, but I'm not sure just yet. It's crazy business in there.
That
Okay.
presence permeated the room.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense.
While he's stammering, I turn to the captain of the guard.
Mm-hmm.
Captain of the guard, what make you of this experience?
He kind of shrugs, says his experience is not dissimilar from our own. As I've mentioned, the stone has a will of its own, and I have felt no need to engage with it since my initial interaction. Though in that gaze, I did glimpse the White City.
Yeah, yeah. It's a. I could see the city. I have a feeling that as we have this alliance, there's a good chance we could um, communicate between here and Minas Tirith. I saw things. There's a lot of potential if one could just learn how to use this. Um,
Mm.
we've obviously it isn't giving away too much knowledge to let you know that we have a similar stone in Minas Tirith. I don't know for Zachariah honestly doesn't know if that is giving away too much knowledge,
Yeah.
but he's going to roll with it. And the Arcanists of Gondor, they they have some knowledge about that, and they could perhaps help me, and of course my studies. I think that I could delve a bit deeper and on a different day. And as I'm here, any opportunity that I could help gain some more knowledge with this stone, I feel like I could be an asset to Umbar and to Gondor, if I have your leave to do so.
He says, well, you seem no worse for wear, though if your companions had not pulled you from it, perhaps that would be a different story. He
Or
says,
perhaps I might have gained a bit more um, knowledge while I was in there.
he says
You can't tell.
he kind of turns and addresses Silmarian and Crithel and says, I can assure you that should Zachariah have opportunity while you are gone to investigate the stone further, it would be only done under supervision and with support such as you have lended. As he says this, Zach, Garwin sees a bird, a small bird, like a sparrow or something like that, kind of alight on the window. Now the window is kind of set up high. It's kind of at a slit. It's more of a slit than anything, right? Because you're kind of deep under, not deep, but you're underground. So it's not really meant to be anything more than just allowing light in for certain hours of the day. You see a bird kind of alight up there, and kind of bounces around a couple minutes and is moments and kind of looking at you. Seems to be.
Do I recognize this bird
No,
besides just like the make of it?
not really.
Like
No, you don't. It's not like this isn't old Poppin the sparrow that's your best bud. No.
But does it like? But does it? Maybe I don't recognize it like as that's
Yeah.
Willie the Sparrow here. But like that's a reference if anybody
Yeah,
gets that.
You're good.
But is it like? Do I recognize like, hey, if I see this, this is what it means? Does it make?
Yeah.
Does it give me anything?
Yeah, you know that birds are often used as messengers.
Okay.
And especially by people of the wilds, like rangers and people like that. Rangers, theoretically wizards, people of that have power about them, or just are attuned to the ways of the wild.
Let me hold on. I'm gonna do. Can I do an animal handling?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thing, and I'm gonna whistle to try to get it to come down.
Yeah.
I like that.
Oh, freaking hell no!
13's not bad. 13's not bad. The 5 would have been really bad, but the 13 is just fine.
Okay.
So it's not overly challenging, this test. So as you kind of like recognize the bird and call it to you, it kind of flutters down from the raised window, and it'll kind of like alight on your shoulder there, and you'll hear it start to like warble and chirp like real softly at you. With a 13, you know that like it doesn't talk, like it's warbles and chirps, but you're able to like engage with it as it was a communication, kind of like a carrier pigeon or something like that, right? But not with a message on its foot. It seems to have come from your companion, your friend here in the city, Evander, right? And it asks, how fares your quest?
I would whisper or whistle back in a way that is just in one word, or maybe one or two words of I would want to communicate that it's going well. So the second word I would probably say is standby.
Mm-hmm.
Or like be on your guard.
Mm-hmm.
First word I would probably say is ongoing.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I would probably say ongoing, be on your guard.
Yep. And then it kind of like acknowledges that, and then it says, a storm is coming, and then it kind of like takes its wings, kind of raises up, and then flutters off. All this takes place over, 10 seconds, right? It's a very quick engagement. Obviously, the people in the room saw this happen, but it wasn't like a super long time to where it's easy to engage with. But as soon as it takes off through the window, it no sooner like its shadow passes out of the room than another shadow envelops the room as dark storm clouds build outside, and you can already begin to hear the patter of rain.
Does it feel like, I think I have a nature check. Can I do, does it feel, well, maybe I just know, does it feel like a natural rain, or does it feel like an unnatural storm?
I would let anybody who's proficient in nature roll that.
Oh, wait. Remember, I am the Sky Watcher.
That's true.
I have advantage on
Yeah, there you
evaluating
go.
that.
Yeah,
You better watch
All
the
right.
sky, my friend.
that's right.
All right, hold on one moment. Let me get there. That's exciting. I didn't know if I was going to get to use that ability again. All right. So, boom, boom. $24.
Yeah, and for, Zach, if you want to roll for Garwin, you're welcome to as well.
Yeah, I'm not proficient, but oh god,
No, that's
absolutely not.
So if I can,
I don't know nothing.
if I can, oh, and then Andrew, you're also proficient. That's nice. For them. So I think what would happen here is, like, as this bird kind of takes off, and then you immediately hear the storm. If I can utilize your characters for just a moment, I think that what happen is this thought of "is this natural?" kind of pops into Garwin's head, and you start to immediately move towards the door to leave, and Silmarian is right there with you, and Crithael is not far behind, and like as you like quickly start to move out of this room and like get to where you can see the sky, Zachariah, we'll come back to you in just a second, but as you kind of like swiftly move to get out of there, Silmarian, you get the sense, even before you reach the exterior, that this is a storm that has kind of been manifested. I was going to say out of thin air, but I guess that's kind of how storms manifest. Anyways,
Yeah, thick air.
thick air.
Storms,
Yeah, there you go.
storms manifest out of thick air.
There you
That's
go. Yeah. So that kind of rumbles in. Zachariah, you were left for a brief moment in this room with just the captain. And he says something to the extent of, "You will have another chance, my friend. Let's see about this storm."
Mm.
At that, as you guys make your way outside, you can indeed see that, like, there's the rumblings of dark clouds. There's lightning kind of arcing throughout the clouds already. It's kind of roiling, and you can see like sheets of rain just kind of pummeling the city.
What direction is it coming from? The east or the sea to the west?
It is coming from, you would guess, like the north and east, not from the sea, which is kind of another confirmation in your mind, Silmarian, that this is not a natural storm, not blowing out of the sea, but coming from the desert.
Mm-hmm.
No sooner has Zachariah and the captain kind of come up behind you and gazing out, then you see the first of the lightning strikes, instead of impacting from cloud to cloud, arcs down and strikes a building here in Umbar. And as it strikes, you can hear like the splintering of wood, and you can, moments later, you begin to see the curl of smoke kind of fighting against the rain for dominance there in that pocket of the city. And then you see another lightning strike, and then another, and it's like a siege of Umbar, but from the storm, as you know.
Does it feel? Well, maybe that. Never mind. Go ahead.
No. That's basically what I was gonna say. Yeah, you're good.
Because I was going to say, this feels very reminiscent to me of the time that Saruman manipulated the weather to try to bring down the mountain, and was very precise with its strikes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure I would have a way of knowing that, but that's just what it reminds me of.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It doesn't. But I also rolled a 2, so Hey, this is a nasty storm.
I mean, listen. I mean, like, there's. I think the fact that Silmarian succeeded. I mean, and you guys got a read on it. You can recognize that this is. I mean, it's obviously not natural, but your read now is that. I mean, Silmarian's benefit is that it didn't come from the sea, it didn't come from the south, it didn't come from here. It manifested and is manifesting still from the east and from the north. Um,
I turn to the captain of the Haven as the rain soaks us, and I say, let the seed of alliance we planted today take deeper root and grow more fully in the baptism of this rain.
he says, "What do you know of this ring?" And he kind of like is looking. You can see that there's a concern in his face as he looks about the city. He says, "Where does it come from? Who is
Comes, it comes from the north. It comes from the east. It musters from the desert, where, as you and I both know, Captain of the Haven, there should be no rain. This is what will end up being our common enemy, frowning upon the reconnecting of the Numenorian strands in Middle-earth.
Mm-hmm. There's a furrowing of his brow, and he says, "I did what I could to keep our dealings quiet, but," and then he kind of like glances back at Zachariah. He says, "Perhaps I was less cautious in other more meaningful things." And he says, "If the sorcerer knows of your presence here, but more so knows of our allegiance, it can only bode ill." And he'll kind of look back out at the city and he'll say, kind of turn to you all and he'll say, "I think your departure must be swift and immediate. We must give the impression that things are concluded here, lest his gaze remain here over long." He says, "How soon can you be ready to depart?"
Now, Curthiel, are you ready?
I am at home in the storm.
Nice.
Well,
Garvin?
that's great. I am less at home in this storm, and I can be ready now if we need to.
Captain, your efforts led to us having mutual reward, and we will abide by your request now, and we will hopefully take this storm with us and deflect the attention of the sorcerer.
He takes.
We will make
Go ahead.
good.
He takes
No,
a.
you got it.
He takes a one of the two copies of the agreement that you had reached. It's already pressed wax with the seal of Umbar, and he hands it to Crithale. And he says, "Then depart from the north gate, and perhaps the storm will recognize your exit and subside." He'll kind of like look at Zachariah and he says, "Perhaps perhaps you should gather your belongings from um, from your companions and anything that you have need of, and then I believe we should get you hidden and out of sight for a time.
There's another option. If we can convince the sorcerer that I wasn't actually in your hall, if we can convince him that it's a different stone, that he's seen my tabard, he knows I'm from Gondor. If he could be convinced that we were in Gondor or that it was a different stone, there's possibility that he could divert his gaze from here and spare some destruction and think that we were on the road or in a cellar, in a dungeon, in a cave, in a spare room with no furnishings that he could identify. It would.
He starts to shake his head and he says, perhaps such things are possible. It's beyond my understanding currently whether such deceptions are possible, and what he knows, what whoever knows at the moment, and from your interaction. All we know for certain is that this storm comes from their awareness.
My lord, and Lady Somarian, I do think that there is a spark of truth in Zechariah's words. If it was his interaction with the artifact that drew the sorcerer's attention, it would be that much more difficult to conceal Zachariah's presence here. I would offer once again to be the one to remain, so that if we are to divert the sorcerer, perhaps it should be Zachariah that travels.
I don't think that's wise. There's things that I can find out that I just think that I have so much to learn here, and I don't think that the road would be a better choice than me learning here and learning what I can convey to the fair people of Umbar.
At this point, you see a guard kind of rush up, and you hear him say to the captain, he says, "My lord, there are fires all throughout the city. Numerous injured, destruction all around. Shall we send out the guard to assist?" And he immediately, like the captain, says, "Yes, of course. Let's." And he kind of directs this individual to. He says, like, this city is under siege, and sound the alarm. Make it so. Call out the garrison. And at that, the guard kind of rushes off. And the captain turns to you and he says, "You have my leave to exit this city, and you have our word and your document." He says, "One of you must remain. I will leave it to you. I am called elsewhere."
So Marion turns to Crithiel. "You, Garwin, and I will ride like the wind. Leave Zachariah to study. And the road is dangerous. We will need your swords. And I presume with my 24 on reading the sky that there is some chance that the storm will follow us."
Yeah, you think, you're not sure what the will of the sorcerer is here, but you think that the storm is here on your, because of you, yeah. not to overly hurry you along, but just keeping an eye on time here. And I think um,
we're already
We're
gone.
good.
yeah,
We're
you
good.
good?
We're
Yeah,
right
you good?
out.
Yeah,
We're
we're
gone.
out.
yeah. So
Like, we're on
absolutely.
our horses.
Yeah, so you go down. I think that's where we need to get to, which is you go down to where your horses are. Zachariah, if you're staying, you would kind of get your supplies off of the horses and kind of like, you know, get ready to remain, and kind of turn loose of any gear or whatnot that you don't need. Um, the rest of you quickly within moments are saddled, um, and you are just starting to like lead your horses out when you see this. Let's share our screen here.
Oh, good. Friends.
Hey,
Oh
there you
boy.
go. That's cool, right? Yeah, all right, that worked out. So you kind of ignore the the burning crucifixes of people being hung in the streets of this map. That's not actually happening. But you can see that there's a few fires here that have kind of illuminated the space, and there's rain still pouring down, and the two forces kind of going at odds with one another. Um, and in the middle of the street, kind of blocking your way north, you can see three entities clothed in black, but atop their head, akin to a halo. Let me get a close up picture for you here. You can see luminescent, glowing white iron crowns kind of floating above there.
Um, do these guys just kind of appear?
Do they appear? In a way, yeah. I mean, like they were not here, and then you kind of got your horses and you turned to leave, and they are here in the street. Yeah.
Do I have? I mean, no, I don't know. I don't know what you would call that of just being like like I see it and I just attack. Like it's not surprise, but like because we didn't surprise them, they surprised us.
I would say that you're not like, oh, I mean, like you weren't expected to see them, but you're in a dangerous situation and you're on alert, right? So like,
Yeah.
I think that what you're asking though is, should we roll initiative, right?
Yeah, because I have an idea of what I want to do. I just don't know if I can do it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's roll initiative then. So
Can we take a 5-minute bio break before we get into this? What's
one
going to be?
100%. So let's do that. We'll take a 5-minute break and then we'll come back in about 10:15 my time and do this thing.
I don't know what the heck is happening.
All right.
So freaking down.
So we are back, and we have rolled initiative. Um, the
Hell yeah.
Unfortunately, the wraiths rolled higher than you guys. Their base rolls were 12 and 15, and they have pluses to that. So, pretty much immediately as you see them, before you can get upon your horses, they move in. So they have movement speed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They're going to go to about right there. By the way, for people at home, and because these guys don't know any different, just because I didn't want to use anything completely homebrew since we're trying to test out the system, I am using the Barrow White stat block from the core book, but with the tweak of it them not having their white song ability. But other than that, these are exactly like that. So we're going to see how they go. So as they close in, these three creatures, three wraiths, are going to use an ability called Strike Fear. Each of them targets a creature that is within 60 feet. That's going to be Garwin, Crithael, and Silmarian. Immediately, all of you gain one shadow point, one for each of the creatures targeting each of you. You'll each get one shadow point from Dread. I guess you can make a Charisma saving throw, DC 13, to resist.
Yeah, charisma.
Oh, I didn't actually.
Okay, let me do that.
Nice.
13 is a DC, right?
That's right.
So Zachariah has an initiative of 11, but I don't have initiative.
Yeah, you're like, we'll say for the moment you're kind of back a ways behind. Like, we'll talk about you and we'll get to you in a minute, but you're not close enough to be engaged initially by these guys because they can only target one creature at a time. As they move forward, they can do that, and then they make 2 attacks, and they have a couple of options on how they do that. So the one back behind there is going to just not take another action. It's going to stay right where it is, but the other 2 are going to attack. So let's have one go after. You know what? Let's have it go here because I think it makes sense. Crithael and Silmarian, you 2 are going to get attacked by these initial strikes. Silmarian, here we go. We're going to go you first. This is going to be +4 on whatever we roll to hit. That's a 15 to hit your armor class.
I have a 17, but that includes my shield.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think I have my shield donned. So I think, in fairness, I'm at a 15 AC. So
a 15.
Then it would hit.
That would hit. Yeah, 15 to 15. Okay.
Yep.
So as you cross blades with this entity, you realize that this is an individual that is at least your match, if not more so. You're going to take 4 points of slashing damage. Nope, my mistake. Let me reroll that. You're going to take, 12 points of slashing damage. 12 points of slashing damage as it attacks you with 2 hands.
12 points?
Mm-hmm. Uh-huh.
Okay.
And then it's going to attack you again with the same sword. So that is going to be only a 12 to hit, which will not work out.
Okay.
Then it will cross the other one you're engaged with that one. The other one will cross blades with Crithael. Crithael, this is going to be a longsword attack coming at you. This is one-handed though, so keep that in mind. It'll be a little bit different. That is a 21 to hit.
Yeah, that hits.
Okay. You are going to take 7 points of slashing damage.
Okay.
As it kind of brings the smaller blade out and strikes into you. Garwin, you are, getting ready on your own. And as you kind of move to maybe flank it or to get around, it turns to you and extends a hand, an iron gauntlet hand, your direction. It's going to make a different sort of attack against you. It has a +4 to this. That's going to be a 17 to hit you.
Yep, that hits.
Okay. So this is going to be 6 points of slashing damage plus 4 points. Nope. Rolled that wrong. Let me back off of that. Ignore me completely. It's going to be 8 points of necrotic damage. And you need to make a Constitution saving throw.
Okay.
Oh, perfect. Okay. So this iron gauntlet of a hand reaches towards you, and you feel a cold chill like envelop your heart, and you take that damage, but you resist the rest of the effects of it. So just kind of keep that in mind. Okay, that was both of their turns. The other one is not going to make an attack this time. It's going to stay back there, and it's going to ready an action, I guess. Now, with both of them having gone, we are at Crithail's turn. What does Crithail want to do?
Crithail will once again light her blade with radiant light and swing at this foe. With it. So first attack is going to be 25 to hit.
Absolutely.
For 8 points of radiant damage.
Awesome.
And second attack with the same blade, 19 to hit. Is going to be that and plus another something that I need to figure out. Sorry, 1 second. Full hammer. I did an additional weapon die, and my weapon die is what in this? They're short swords, so it's another d6. So that second attack, instead of 6 radiant, it's 9 radiant.
So that's a
total 17.
17, absolutely. So yeah, your sword blazes with light. The wraith recoils a moment from that, turning its attention back fully to you as it's trying to like clutch the beating heart of your companion next to you. But you're able to kind of like swipe through, scorching its cloak and partially blinding it with radiant light. That is fantastic. And a massive amount of damage in this first round for you. Would you like to do anything else, Crithail?
We didn't have anybody else who had like AoE damage of any kind, right? If I remember from our
I don't think so.
back.
Now, does Silmarian, do you apply extra damage to that attack?
I mean, I have to do.
You have to do it. Okay, fair enough. Yep. So I think that's it. Then
Raphael is going to step forward right in the middle of the three of them and brandish her sword of light at the shadows.
now you know that this guy had a readied action. So as you close,
Did it? I thought it attacked with a necrotic thing.
No, that was this guy over here. He attacked once and used his icy grip. They get 2 attacks each. But this guy up here can only make 1 attack against you. So just 1.
That's fine.
That's going to be a miss anyways. 13 to hit,
Yeah.
I assume.
Yes.
Okay. So
My light. Sorry, it does not hit. Yeah, my light blinds him.
Absolutely. Okay. That's Crithail's turn then. After that, we're going to hold off on Zachariah for a moment. Garwin, you are next.
Can I, having just experienced what I just saw, I'm going to the fire next to me here. I'm sure there's some burning wood that I can grab. I'd like to just grab some of that and then smack this guy and set him on fire.
Okay. I like that. You don't have a magical weapon of any sort, do you? Or do you?
I do not.
Okay, that's a great call then. So you pick up a burning chunk of debris and you attack with that. Go ahead and make an attack as if you were using your sword, but it'll be at -2 to hit because whatever your sword would be, it's at -2 off that because it's an improvised weapon.
I think that's the right. Is that not the right thing? I just clicked on sword.
Let's see. Yeah, you just rolled really low.
Okay.
So
Dang.
so you swing with this burning log. It manages to parry it. Um, now, do you use two short swords or just one?
uh, no, I just have one
Okay.
sword.
Yeah. Okay. So you've made your attack. So if you want to like maneuver, you're welcome to.
Uh, what do I want to do? I will move just behind
Yep. Kurthel? Absolutely.
Crithael, yeah, and be next to Silmarian here too, just to make sure that we kind of are all together. Nobody gets separated here.
Absolutely. Okay. I like that. Silmarian, you're up.
Silmarian will uh, use royalty remembered. She will call out to Garwin and Crithiel, "We are women and men of Gondor. We are of Numenorian blood. Remember the greatness of our people in striking down these evil scourges." And so that means that we all gain advantage on our attacks going forward. And for our attack rolls and intimidation checks, we have advantage going forward. We are immune to frightened, and we each gain 4 temp hit points.
Ah, okay, cool. Did all three of you say? I'm sorry, I messed this up before, but and I'm not gonna give a repercussion here. But did all of you save on your charisma save up initially? Kurthale did not, right?
I did not.
Okay. So just as a note, we've already done it, so it's okay. But you would technically take a shadow point from that, plus also, um, you would be frightened for 1 minute. But because he's going to activate it right here, you would lose that, and you're fine anyway. So we just won't. We'll pretend that all three of you had saved. Okay.
Yep.
Awesome. So immune to
Well, I
fright.
mean, him being frightened is he couldn't move closer. He couldn't move closer to his foe,
Yeah.
but his foe was right there.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have prevented him from attacking.
Yeah. Okay.
Or,
It's all good.
but all right. So I am going to attack the one in front of me
Mm-hmm.
with my and I say, "You probably remember this spear. I hope it takes your shadow to the netherworld." So that's a 13. I have advantage. So that's a 24 to hit.
Yep.
All right. And when I do my second attack, I have advantage on that. And that's going to be an 18. Does an 18 hit?
Absolutely.
Okay. So that is going to be 2d10
Mm-hmm.
plus 5 each. Oh my goodness. I can't believe I rolled double ones.
Oh, so 12 points of damage. Okay.
Yes.
Beautiful.
And it's magical, right? So
Yep. Yep.
2d10. You shit.
Awesome. Fantastic. That is, 12 points of damage still isn't nothing, but it's not enough to come close to bringing these guys down as you start to cut through on it.
but as you said at the beginning, when that one attacked me and caused 12 points of damage, I felt that we were evenly matched.
Yes.
So thus, my 12 points of damage back proves you're evenly matched.
Absolutely. Wonderful. You're welcome to maneuver. As you do so, Garwin, I did not communicate the right thing to you, so I'm going to come back and rectify that. At 5th level, you got an extra attack as well, so you have one more attack roll if you want to make it against these guys.
Yeah, I'll try to swing it back around.
Okay.
Just try to catch his cloak on fire.
Sure.
Okay.
15. You have advantage, so go ahead and roll it again. 19. There you go.
Oh.
So you needed that because remember you're at a -2 since you're using an
That's
improvised
right.
weapon. Okay, so you're going to deal 1d6 plus your strength modifier. So whatever the sword typically would do. But it's going to be in fire damage, not in slashing damage. Oh, nice.
Hey, Zach,
Yes.
you invited me to move. Just being a captain and being tactically minded, is it more tactically advantageous to stay next to Garwin, or is it more advantageous for me to come up here into this position and try to lock down both of those guys?
Yeah, I mean, like, obviously, the more people that are engaged with more creatures, the less they're going to move. So if you want to bump up there, that's fine. Now, keep in mind that I removed, at the beginning of this campaign, opportunity attacks. So if you want to disengage or whatever, like, movement is much more fluid in this campaign. So you're welcome to position yourself wherever you need to be fine.
Oh, so there's no op attack?
That's right. Yeah, we eschewed those in the initial fight in Harmondon or whatever that city was that we.
Okay.
Were in. Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Now I have a question for you. I have a great bow.
Mhm.
For me to use the great bow, I have to step back, right?
Yeah, you'd just be at like disadvantage if you shoot a great bow while you're in melee like this. Yeah.
But there's no op attack, so you may as well step back.
Yeah, you could step back and shoot. Yeah, if you need to. Yep. Yep. Okay.
Or put the guy's head where the string is, and then put your arrow facing the opposite way, and then pull the bow back, and then let it slam
let it
into
fly.
him.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, so you've repositioned. You've already made your attacks. Garwin has now followed up his attack. We are now down to Zachariah. Now, Zachariah was with you a few moments ago, but as you turn to look, he is gone. Zachariah, what do you want to do here?
I want to run back to in all the chaos. I want to run back to the room with the orb.
Okay. I will say that for the sake of fun story, let's say that the cause for alarm had caused the captain of the guard or the captain of the haven to not lock the door. So you're able to, let's say, spend this whole turn getting back there, but then the next round you can fully engage. But yeah, you re-enter the room and you see the black orb with the mist kind of roiling off of it. And we'll say that next round, you know what, just because it's fun, and we'll say that you disappeared early on, and I don't want you to have to wait to do some fun stuff. You make it back in there on this round. What do you want to do in here?
I see the places on, that the town is now on fire, that there's all the lightning. I surmise that it has been, this is just what's going through my head as I'm running down back down the street and through the halls. I surmise that whoever this is, and I got a hunch that it's something to the east. I don't know necessarily that it's Sauron, but whoever this is, the Dark Sorcerer, whether I know whether Sauron is back or whether I just know that there's evil stuff in Mordor, I know I've seen him now, and I know that he is pissed about about Gondor. The idea of Gondorians in Umbar looking through the stone is enough for him to start destroying the city. That's a big power play, and that tells me that he is pissed or scared or both. Mm-hmm. Just by the fact that my presence there was enough to set this off. So I'm going to go over and I'm going to grab the stone.
Okay. Give me a wisdom save as you do so.
Yep. Three. I've got it says it's rolling. You guys might see it before I do. 1d20 plus 3. I'm clicking it again. Interesting. So you guys are not come through yet.
Not come through yet.
I have a +3 modifier, so if somebody just wants to roll a d20 for me.
Sure. Here we go.
We'll just add 3 to it. Okay. Of course, I can see yours. So yeah. If you could roll better next time, that'd be great.
I'll
but,
do my best. Yeah.
Yeah. It is just as random whether you click it or I click it. I accept my fate of 7 there.
Yeah. So as you grasp the stone, you are immediately wrenched back through with the current to the audience of this individual, and he says,
That's okay.
"Scholar,
That's what I'm doing anyways.
why
Hey, look.
are you here in Umbar?"
I was on a visit. We were chatting. I was learning the culture. And you just went apeshit on this place.
There is a wrench as you feel your mind invaded by this individual as he's scouring memories or trying to wrench things out of you. We'll give you another moment here with him, but kind of that initial engagement is your first thing. Back up to the top here with the wraiths that are present. Crithale, unfortunately, you are now in the thick of several of these guys. We're going to say that this one up here, that is, you step forward on, this one here, are both going to attack you. So you're going to have two going at you. First one up top is going to bring out a long sword against you twice. Here we go. First attack, that's going to fail. Second attack, that is going to also fail. So you are locked in a pairing of blows between that one. And as you're doing so, this other entity on the west side is going to try to strike at you with a one hand on the sword initially. Oh my gosh, there you are. Cool. That's a crit.
Yep.
So we're going to feel good about that. That's going to be 2 of these. So 4 plus 2. 6 points of slashing damage. 6 points of slashing.
Fine.
And then you also are going to be the bearer of a cold, icy touch. So let's do that real quick. Plus 4 to hit with this. That's a 17.
That'll hit.
Okay. So that is not very much. 3 necrotic damage, and I need a Constitution saving throw, please.
You want all kinds of things.
I want all the things. 9 is not enough.
Did I have any? There was some bonus I remember from
You have a,
but I don't think it was to
It's
this.
a damage bonus, I believe.
you don't have a bonus for me right now to this.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're immune to being frightened.
Okay, perfect. So, failing the icy touch Constitution save results in another D10 of necrotic damage. So, that is another 8 points of necrotic damage from that. That's brutal. Yeah.
Did you eat 3 or 4? Your 4 points, 4 temp hit points for me.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay, just make sure.
Okay, that's the 2 of them. Garwin, you have this one on the right here is going to engage with you.
Okay.
Say how you're doing. He's going to attack with his longsword twice. So we're talking about 8 plus 4 is 12 to hit. I assume
That does not hit.
Okay, we're all good. That is also going to be a... Oh, my mistake. I didn't roll that first time. So the first one's a miss. That top one was for the damage before. So 1 miss, and then a 10 plus 4 is 14. Does a 14 hit you?
That'll hit.
It does hit. Okay, cool. So that is going to be a D10 plus 2. So 12, geez, max damage. 12 points of damage against Garwin here from the Wraith. But that is the sum total of this Wraith's attack against you.
Love it.
Yes. You, by the way, all of you, as these Wraiths are engaging, feel the same chill, cold presence that you felt just minutes ago in the room with the Seen Stone. Crithale, you are up.
And you have advantage on your attacks.
Excellent. My light does not wane beneath your shadows. I will attack the first one that I had previously attacked was my glowing radiant blade. 16 to hit.
That'll hit. Yep.
That'll be 5 plus 6.
Okay,
It's
and-
already injured.
Is that the one? Yeah, you said the one you initially attacked. So
Yeah. So that'll be 7 damage.
okay, cool.
I will attack it again. 16 to hit
Yep.
for another 7.
Okay, nice. That's very
Is it
strong.
still up?
It's still up. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. I will draw in my other arm my tusk blade, my grievous tusk blade, and I will stab it with an offhand attack.
Nice.
Well,
Ooh, that's a crit. Fantastic. This a? Remind me, is this a? This is not a magic weapon. This is just your flavor weapon, right?
well, this is the weapon we got from that creature.
It is magic. Cool. Awesome. Fantastic.
Um,
Yeah.
do I feel like this is enough to kill that one?
So yeah, absolutely. So as you tell me about it. Tell me about it.
Yeah, so I am fighting them off with this blade of light, and I draw with my other hand just very swiftly this shorter blade made of pure bone, and I just slice it.
Nice. Absolutely. And keep in mind that you've cut into it with your blade of light. Garwin has burnt this one, lit it on its robes on fire, and now you bury this dagger from some other unholy creature into it, and as you do so, there's this shriek, and then this intake of air around you, kind of like pulling into it, and then there is a burst, and its cloaks are torn asunder, and the body there's no body. It's just the garments rip with an explosion of wind, and it is gone.
Yeah, and like as that happens, Crithael turns to the other one that's fighting her and just screams at it.
Oh, I love that. That's awesome. Yeah, fantastic crit. That you needed all of that crit basically to bring this one down, so that was excellent. That grievous short sword, I love it. Okay, Crithael has made her attacks. Garwin.
You have advantage, Garwin.
Yeah, so I'm gonna do the same thing with this one. I'm gonna try to do that to
Yep. Taking the
just like
Yep.
yeah, just trying to set it on fire, do as much as I can.
Yep.
So let me see. Ooh,
That first one will hit.
and then damage.
Ooh.
Hey.
Very nice. That's 10 points of damage. That's a substantial amount.
But well, it's only 8 because it's an improvised weapon,
Nope.
right?
Your attack is reduced, but not the damage from the attack.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
All right, so then I do that again,
Mhm,
right?
Absolutely.
Ooh,
That is not going to work out.
Not
though.
enough.
Yep. So you manage to swipe through it with your first one. Again, like part of its robes catch a flame, but as you kind of like backpedals as you do that, and then it moves. And as you try to like follow up with a second strike, it hews with its sword into your burning ember, like hacks off the initial length of burning log and deflects it. You are still welcome to move, Garwin, if you want.
I think I will. Yeah, I think I'll move like to right here, kind of surrounding it, helping him out.
Absolutely. So, Marion, you are up.
Okay, so Royalty Remembered ends with my turn. You keep your 10 hit points, but the advantage to attacks, intimidation, and immune to frighten goes away at the end of my turn.
Okay.
But but I did not switch to my great bow. I'm keeping my elven spear.
Mm-hmm.
It's got reach. I'm going to initiate Bright Blade as a bonus action, imbuing it with bravery. So for the next 10 rounds, I add my charisma modifier to the attack rolls.
Nice.
And if I hit, the next attack roll after I hit is made with advantage until the start of my next turn.
Okay.
So,
Awesome.
which of the two is more damage? The one between Prithiel and
Yes.
Garwin, or the one? Okay.
Yeah.
And with that, And now this elven blade is fully ablaze in blue radiant light, and I'm going to begin what I hope is a very successful sequence against this dread enemy. Okay, hold on. Doot. Sorry about this. Okay. And this is going to be, what's a 6? Okay, so here's the first attack. That's a crit fail, but the 17th is advantage. So 23 hits.
Yep.
And then and that's going to be a 1d10 plus. Oh wait, actually, 1d10. How much damage is that? 5. So there's 15 damage.
Sweet.
Okay.
Yep. Cool.
And then here's my second attacks. And actually, I realized that it's actually a plus 10 to hit.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a 27. And okay, 19, but the 27 definitely hits.
Yep.
And that is going to be. There you go. You get in your take. So that's 6 points of damage.
Okay, fair enough. So yeah, stepping up with your glowing blade, you're able to carve into it as well. Really, it's certainly the effect of having blades of power is a tremendous boon in this particular fight, which is fantastic. Cool. You have made your attacks. You're welcome to reposition if you want. And then we are to Zachariah.
And Andrew, you have advantage on your next attack.
So, I need to do any do I need to make any saves against psychic damage? Probably. I mean, it's at this point I've gotten drawn to him, but I feel like at least saving against damage.
Yeah, I agree. It's a Constitution saving throw, please.
Okie dokie. Let me click here. I've got a +2. D20. Okie doke. That is going to give me some damage.
Okay. You're going to take 2 + 3, 5 points of psychic damage, and another shadow point as it eats away at you here.
Okay.
And you can feel it in your mind, like it's kind of almost like it's bypassing, at least for the moment, your words or your responses, and just ripping information from your thoughts. What would you try to do in this moment, or what would you?
First off, how many shadow point did I get? A shadow point?
No,
when I failed last time. Okay.
Yeah.
It feels like I probably would have.
Sure, let's say that you did. That's fine. Yeah.
So I got 2. So I'll say 2. It's great being on the last
right.
one of the campaign. I'm writing in pen.
Yes.
It's like, I'm not gonna need 7 more spots. So yeah, I'm just gonna say or think as if they're the same sort of thing. Basically, I know that you are reading my thoughts, and I don't care. You're gonna figure out that I'm from Gondor, which is pretty freaking easy. And you'll find out that we're here to make an alliance, and that we've succeeded in that. And here's where you screwed up. The Umbar has paid you no mind until now, and now you've attacked. And you've gained the ire of both Gondor and Umbar with this petty little thunderstorm of yours. So here's the thing. If you called it off right now, you could leave. And next week, half the city is going to talk about that odd thunderstorm and write it all off. Or you can decide to keep this attack up on my friends and our new allies and the race of men. And in that case, I'll escalate things. And I'm just going to glare into the
Give me an intimidation check, Zachariah.
Okie doke. I will do that. Here, question. I don't think it works because I've used it since our last long rest, but it has been a long time since our last long rest. I do have my craft is the ability to make someone afraid, but I believe that is once per
It
long
is,
rest.
and unfortunately,
Yeah.
that's just a long time in this game. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, just
Was
checking.
he was I just have a question. Was Zachariah within 30 feet of Silmarian when Silmarian
No.
had her first turn?
No.
No.
Yeah, he left
Okay,
before that.
cool.
That's 11.
11. Okay, yeah. So you try to like, and it's a long shot to
Oh yeah.
coerce him on the first roll, but you don't feel your words parsing him or swaying him, and he says, petty, ignorant fool. I care so little about the supposed strength of men, and Umbar is the least among them. They will know, however, that my wrath is at hand should they proceed down this path. You're welcome. You can continue to engage or whatnot on the next time, but as you kind of engage there, we're going to shuffle back up to the top. And we are back to the race. This one up here is going to attack Silmarian again. Or not Silmarian, Cthale. This is going to be sword and hand. So sword, miss.
No.
Hand, that's an 18 to hit.
Yeah, that'll hit.
Okay, so I need another Constitution saving throw.
Yeah.
You're going to take initially 4 points of necrotic damage, and then we'll see. Oh, failed there.
Same as before.
So 4 points of necrotic plus another 3 points of necrotic, so a total of 8 necrotic damage from that.
7.
And that is going to be its turn. It is going to, let's see here. I think it's going to just shift around to here.
Where are you going?
Kind of, it's got an idea. It's going to shift over to there. And then this one had been going after Garwin. It's going to continue to go after Garwin, but it's going to move a step forward, in between Garwin and Silmarian here. And it's going to strike at Garwin and then strike at Silmarian. So Garwin, this is first attacks on you. That's going to miss.
Thank goodness.
The second one's on Silmarian. That is also, unfortunately, going to miss. Which is not
Silly
good.
rabbit.
Yeah, that's
Tricks are
exactly.
for kids.
So that is not a good situation for it, for sure. But we'll see how things go. I like it. After them, we are at Cthale.
You have advantage.
On this one, right?
Yes.
Okay.
No, you have advantage on any of the. Yes, on that one. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so I will strike at it with my glowing sword.
Mm-hmm. Oh, crap.
21 to hit.
Yep.
8 piercing.
Yep.
One attack, right? Advantage on one attack?
Yes.
Okay, I will strike it again. Sorry, hang on. I get plus 6 because it's injured. So another 5 damage. So it's 13 on that attack.
Okay. Ooh, that's pretty strong. It's close.
Second attack. 11 will miss, I'm guessing.
Yep, it will.
And then offhand attack, which is this guy. 15 to hit.
15 hits.
Plus 6 piercing.
Nice. You're super close on this guy. Super close.
And I'm gonna move back here.
Okay.
I guess there is no real point to blocking it because there is no
Opportunity. Yeah. It's more about presenting yourself as the
Yeah.
main target of.
Oh, I present myself.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Crithael, you do that. Garwin, what do you want to do here?
So if he chopped off like the part that was burning before, I'm gonna throw that piece of wood. Can I can I throw the wood at him and then still use my sword
Sure.
just to see if it hits him?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so let's see. I'll throw the piece of wood at him first.
That hits. -2. Still
Okay.
hits. Yep. Yeah. So you hurl this piece of wood. It's not burning, but it's kind of smoldering there. You hurl it like Aragorn, right, on Weathertop, and it impacts him. It's not going to do a lot of damage because it's not on fire and it's not magical, but it'll do a little bit of damage to him. And then you're going to close with your sword.
Yeah,
Cool.
hopefully.
Ooh,
Oh!
look at that. That's a crit. Go ahead and roll that damage. This is not a magical sword, right?
No, this is just a regular sword.
Okay. So, it didn't give you a crit, so go ahead and roll me another d6 real quick. Okay. So you get another 2 points there. So you're at 10 minus, so it takes half damage. So 5. So 5 is actually enough though. So as you charge forward, you like take this, this, it's not a magical sword, but it's a refined sword of Gondor, right? And you take the blade and you press it through the cloak and bury it up to the hilt in this cloak, and you can feel this burn course across your hands as you do so. Go ahead and give me a Constitution saving throw. That's going to be good. So you're going to take half damage here. So you take 1 point of fire damage as you drive it in here. Actually, it gets to be cold, but you drive it in, and then as you pull it out, wrench it out, like there's again this intake of air, then an explosion, and this one goes down. Fantastic.
Hell yeah.
Fantastic.
And then I'm gonna move right over here.
Awesome. Silmarian, your turn.
I move there, and I say, 2 sent back to the netherworld, and you are next. So does the 18 hit?
18 does hit.
And the 24 hits, right?
Yep.
Okay, so that's going to be 20. Here we go. Let's see how much damage. 23 points of magical damage.
Ooh, geez. Okay, that's fantastic. So this one was uninjured, but that's a huge hit. So as you step forward and promise it a return to a world elsewhere, you strike in. At the same time as you strike, though, right before Zachariah's turn, there is a rumble from the heavens, from the storm, and I need all 3 of you to roll me a d6, please. Cool. Oh, perfect. Okay. So Silmarian and Garwin, I need both of you to now make, not Crithael, but the other 2 of you, I need you to make me dexterity saving throws. Nope.
Give me one.
Yep.
Suck.
Boom!
Whoa, that's
19.
nice. Okay, so Silmarian, you'll take half damage, and Garwin, you'll take full damage from this. So at the end of the second round, luckily you guys are already bringing down people in the second round. But at the end of the second round, you get some lightning entering the fray here. Lightning strike is going to rain down on the lot of you. This is going to be 46 damage. Ulysses, you'll take half. Zach, you'll take full.
Well, I'm probably Dead then.
Half
But
a,
No, you're not dead.
15 points of
yeah,
damage.
I'm down.
Hey, don't worry about it. I got you.
So Garwin, as the lightning impacts in the area nearby, Garwin is impacted and collapses, his armor
I-
smoking.
I like the idea of him falling into Silmarian
Yeah, that's
or the
fine.
Sinlac, and I'm going to hold him upright
Absolutely.
as much as I can.
Okay. So Garwin is not looking great. Krithail's about half health. Silmarian, I think, is still looking just fine. We're at Zachariah here. See what you can do.
I'm gonna, he didn't he didn't listen to my reason, so now I'm gonna escalate. Like I said, I'm gonna just tell him, I'm gonna pick up the orb, rather heavy, I presume, 24 inches,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm just gonna say, you like your toy. I can tell that you like your toy. You like spying. You like I can feel you trying to twist my mind, and I think you like twisting people to your will, and I think you've grown dependent on this toy. And if you don't call off this attack, then I'm going to destroy your plaything. And I walk over toward the window
Okay.
with
Awesome.
with the Palantir. Also, I didn't roll for.
Yeah, give me your
anything.
Constitution saving throw. Yep. Yep.
But you did.
Oh, that's good.
15.
Yeah, that's good.
Plus
So,
2.
so you'll take half damage on this one. So just 5 points of psychic damage from that.
Yep.
Yeah. So as you threaten the shattering of this, give me another intimidation roll. This time, I won't give you advantage, but the DC on my end is going to be reduced a little bit here.
Okay. Sounds good. 20 plus 1. Yeah. Making sure that's accurate. Yeah. 14.
Okay. So with that, you feel this thing kind of like still pulling through your mind, and then maybe it's your actions, maybe it's your words, maybe it's a thought that it is pulled from you, but you sense the assault abating, and the sharp pang of its invasion lessens, and it says, Scholar, you do not comprehend the magnitude of what you propose, nor do I believe you would do such a thing. But on the flip side, as he's saying this, you feel like a slight release of pressure, Zachariah. And he says, I told you there are many things that I could show you, many things that you could learn. We may be enemies, but that does not mean I am unwilling to teach you some aspects of truth about this world. There is a reality to the future of man that is known only to me and my master. I can impart that to you.
Okay. Is that turn or
you can have another response here if you want.
Okay. um I still see lightning, and I'm just gonna walk over to the window and I'm gonna hold it out, and I'm just gonna say, turn it off, or we won't talk.
Yeah. Give me, and Brian, if you could, just because I think it'll be fun,
Yeah.
give me a secret roll, a wisdom save, please.
Yeah. I don't know how to do a secret. I don't remember how to do a secret roll. Slash GM roll.
Yep, there you go. I think that's it.
Okay.
It's okay if it's not actually. If it doesn't, it'd be in secret. It'd just be fun.
Okay. Yeah. Wisdom save. Yeah.
Yep, there you go. Perfect. Thank you. So as you hold it over, back to the top, back to the rest of you here, we have still one Wraith in contention. This one was on Crithale, so it's going to continue to be on Crithale.
Bring it.
Yeah, bring it. It's going to attack you with a sword once. Let's see what happens there. That's going to be a 14 to hit.
That will not hit.
That will not hit. Awesome. And again.
Nope.
That's also a 14. Fantastic. So it is
clearly rattled by my spear.
clearly rattled by your spear. Yeah, absolutely.
It's going to get a lot more rattled in a second.
Yeah, Crithale, you're up as it
You have
fails to
advantage.
cut through. Yeah.
You have advantage.
So 23.
Yes. Yes.
It gets an extra d6. So it takes 9 points of radiant.
Okay.
Second attack,
Okay.
another 7 points of radiant.
Nice. Very nice.
I will expend my 1 weapon crafts slot,
Mhm.
which I've never done, to deal an extra 3d6 to it.
Oof.
So it'll take another 5 radiant,
Jeez.
Okay.
Okay, cool.
and then I'll make my offhand attack
Nice.
for another 7 piercing.
Amazing. Okay, so this wraith is assaulted by a flurry of blows from Crithale, and it starts to like backpedal, trying to deflect them. Cuts are getting through. You can see it like turn its head. It's got kind of its back to the flames there. You see it like turn its head, like looking for a way of escape, and finding none immediately. However, we are at Garwin's turn. Garwin, you are on death's door, so could you give me a death saving throw, please?
I can indeed. Should probably give one in real life too right now. Oh hey, that's good.
Hey, that's pretty good. Yeah, absolutely. So I was just gonna double check. I think you're fine. Yeah. New skills, new whatevers. Yeah, you're good. Awesome. Yeah, there's no special rules for death saves in this game. So you have succeeded once in this. Fantastic.
Right.
Silmarian, it is your turn.
Finish it.
Trying to hold up Garwin as best I can, I thrust the spear forward, and that is a 27 to hit.
Yep.
Good lord.
And that's going to be 13 points of damage.
That's pretty good. It's not quite enough, but it's pretty good.
And then I'm going to strike it again with my spear, and that's only going to be a 12.
No,
Unfortunately.
not going to work out. No.
Well,
It's within spinning distance, but not quite. Okay.
Yep, so that's all I can do.
Okay. For the sake of story and time and plan, we're going to move over Zachariah's turn. Not that he isn't doing something, but because we're going to find out what has happened here in a moment. We're back up to the top of the round, and this wraith is going to let's see. Oh, it's got so many tempting things here. I think what it's going to do, though, is one attack on Crithale. Let's go ahead and do that. That is a 20 to hit. Okay. So this is going to be, oh gosh, 3 points of damage. 3 points of damage against you as it rolls minimum damage.
you are nothing.
And then, Garwin is right there, dying.
Oh no.
and you see the wraith like turn and gaze upon him, and you see that iron gauntlet extend again. And Garwin, even in your unconscious state, as you are laying there, like you can see the shores of Numenor in your mind, right? Perhaps. Um,
Can I jump in front of it? You
uh,
can grip me.
yeah.
I
So
will
so
open myself.
I will say that if you're willing to
Auto
take
grip.
the same effect as what he would have had, yes, you can do that.
Yes.
Okay. So you see
I
it,
step in front of it.
and you begin to feel this cold like wrapping around you, and the edges of your vision start to go black. Crithael, you're gonna get an attack with advantage against you, which sucks. So obviously, this is a fantastic choice that you've made. That's awesome. So yeah, it fails its attack against Crithael here, as Crithael places herself between Garwin and the Wraith, which is probably for the best. So that's gonna be both of its turns. It dealt solid 3 points of damage this round. Crithael, you're up here.
You have advantage.
So first attack does 15 damage.
Yeah, absolutely. You can go nuts with killing this thing. Yeah.
Oh, that was the Grievous short sword, but anyway, it doesn't matter. And then Radiant. That'll be another 8 and another 6.
Mm-hmm.
So 15 and 14, 29 points of damage.
Excellent. Yeah. So, again, this like the fury of Crithael is at full effect as she fends off and protects her ranger companion. She her swords slice through the neck, or where the neck would be, of this entity, and it again explodes out with a rush of air and goes down. As soon as that happens, the storm around you, like the rain immediately starts to lessen. The rumbles of lightning and thunder, immediately you don't hear any more of that. There's still the dark of the storm, but the effects of it are immediately lessened. Zachariah, as we're getting close to the end here, Zachariah, as you hold the Palantir above, there is a moment where you are threatening the breaking of this thing. You remember that. You hold it out here. Then there is moments that you can't quite recall, as if you were in a daze or asleep or something for just the briefest of moments. You were gazing out on a burning city with lightning and storms. And then in the blink of an eye, it seems like more time has passed. You look out and there is no lightning. The flames are dying down. The rain has ceased, and you can see those storm clouds starting to like fold in on themselves and abate.
I walk away from the window. I go back to the cradle, and I set it in there, but I keep my hands on it and say, "Now we can talk."
Yes. And the individual says, "See that I am not without mercy." There is if we were watching a movie, there would be like a darkening of that scene.
Yeah.
And then I think we would pan back to, or the scene would re-illuminate with, like, as the storm starts to roll back and light starts to creep in along the edges, you would have Garwin kind of in the arms of Silmarian there, with Crithael standing close by.
And I would look at Crithiel and I would whisper into Garwin's ear. I would say, men and women of Gondor, we have prevailed over the dread shadow. And I exert my leadership power, and all three of us get 9 temp hit points.
Woo.
And that brings Garwin back to consciousness.
Nice. With that, I think we're right at, I think I said we were going to go for another hour, and we're literally to the minute at another hour. I think with that, as you bring them back, kind of the closure of the campaign would see the departure of the three of you. You would see, as you kind of ride out the north gate, Garwin, there would be this moment where this bird, the sparrow again, kind of like alights next to you, like on the, maybe on like the pommel of your saddle, as you're riding out, and it seeks new words of fulfillment, perhaps, of resolution, or whatever you would give it.
I mean, I would say success would be a word,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
both in the fight as well as in the what we came here to accomplish. So I would say successful.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. The bird immediately like takes flight, and you know it must go to Evander and perhaps Thorongil elsewhere out on the sea. You ride out, knowing that you have an urgent ride to the north, the White City, and perhaps a difficult conversation with Ecthelion. Message of success, but not without compromise. And where that might lead is not for this campaign to decide, but you have managed to avert a battle, a skirmish, bloodshed between Umbar and Gondor. Zachariah remaining in Umbar to live out the coming months as the honored guest, quote unquote, of the captain, and engaging with things there. I think that's a pretty good place to end the campaign. Like, you guys got some cool stuff. You guys did a good job. You survived, which I'm super happy about. And yeah, you managed to succeed in, I think, a cool way. Obviously, you destroyed those wraiths. Which I will say that I intentionally didn't scale them up from Barrow Whites, because I felt like this is earlier in the power level of Sauron and the race in general, and so they are, Aragorn can kind of fend off several of them on Weathertop. I thought, well, it shouldn't be an impossible task for 3 or 4 of you to fend off 3 of them here. So, but I think it worked out. You guys did a good job. So,
Hell yeah.
I imagine that if you fast forward in time to the Battle of Minas Tirith, you remember the Return of the King when the contingent of Belfalis shows up?
yes.
I imagine that Silmarion is among them, and that she is one of the humans in Gondor who does not buckle when seeing the wraiths, because and Crithiel is probably by her side in having experienced this adventure.
Potentially, if that's the case, looking forward, I would have been in probably the same group as Faramir, which means I probably would have died,
In the
and my head would have been chucked into the halls of Minas Tirith somewhere.
Yeah, you can actually see Garwin in the movie. He's one of the bouncing heads.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. The one that kind of rolls out of the helmet, that's me.
Yeah.
And Zachariah is the reason that Umbar fell to Sauron.
Yeah.
No.
I think Zachariah. I think Zachariah sticks around and Zechariah truly sees Sauron as the enemy, and is trying to. Zechariah thinks that he is smart. He thinks that he is as wise as he is smart, and he isn't. And so, I think Zechariah attempts to play the Umbarians and get them to take Sauron more seriously, and he tries to feed them information that he thinks would help, but he doesn't feed them all the right information, and he doesn't want to compromise his position. Meanwhile, he thinks that he can play Sauron and get information, and that he can get that he can influence, and that he can wheel and deal. It's like it's like a freshman political science student in the United States somehow accidentally comes across Vladimir Putin's cell phone number and thinks that he can solve the problems. And I think that's what I think that's where Zechariah does about as much good as he does harm, and he tries hard. And I think that he gains a bit more wisdom over the next 50 years before he goes searching out another Palantir. And yeah, I think that's where he comes down on things.
That's cool.
Yeah, I think that there's a couple things that are fun here. I mean, there's several potential endings, but what I like about this one is that Brian's choices and the rest of your choices kind of lead it to we're still like pseudo in the realm of works with canon. So that's kind of a fun note.
Well, it makes perfect sense that there was not war between Umbar and Gondor in the years leading up to the War of the Ring.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But if they have the Palantir that was stolen from Osgiliath, they would get as corrupted as Saruman and Denethor got corrupted.
Yeah. And as much as you may enjoy or maybe have some amount of respect for the captain of the Haven now, give him another few decades of being influenced and kind of all that, and things can happen. I like that. I think that's cool. I also am super impressed that you guys managed to succeed so solidly, so definitively in your checks there, and with the captain, because that made things cool. I will note that I had a whole map and everything ready. If you guys had failed, then there would be like this big battle at the docks where you would have the Wronggill coming in on his ship, and you guys are trying to like escape back to the ships and tag back up with them. Like that was kind of one of the other possible scenarios. So it wasn't predetermined that you would succeed. There was a whole other pathway to close out. But
I'm glad. I'm just glad that right after that break that you were like, yeah, you can run back and you can do. Yeah, that was so much fun on the fly. That I know was not in your plan.
No, that's
I know
cool.
that was not anywhere in the
honestly,
script.
I was not prepared for any of you to touch with the Palantir. So that was
Oh,
fun.
really?
Yeah, no, I wasn't ready at all. I had no idea that you guys would interact with it, which I should have thought better, but
No, but that was the bonus you gave us.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, that's right. That wasn't even the main.
But Zach, you did a fantastic job with this campaign. I mean, we did so much. I mean, we went to Peligrir, we went to Harmondon, we went to Abercon, we traversed wild stretches of territory, fought trolls. Like, we ended up in I mean, we did a lot.
You did a lot. Yeah. It's really been fun. I enjoyed this. We probably will never do another diplomatic Middle Earth campaign. But
And certainly not in 5th edition.
Yeah, but you can say that you've done one now. You can check that off your bucket list. I'm sure that was a bucket list item for all of you. We can say, hey, that's done now. But no, it's great.
It would be so interesting to see whether to see how different that would or wouldn't have been if we had played it with the 2d20 Dune rules. I feel like it would have ended up being very similar. I feel like it almost would diplomacy may have worked even slightly more on in the system.
Yeah.
But yeah, it would be interesting to see how that would work.
Yeah, and
Cool.
Zach, I know that you're not feeling your temperature's rising. But
I don't even know what it is. It's stupid. It's
yeah.
whatever.
Um,
It's the dumbest thing.
but as we're closing this campaign, I think my meaningful question. We started with this discussion, so I want to end with this, which is, this whole engagement was we played Lord of the Rings in just standard 5e with some tweaks. We've played Lord of the Rings in the One Ring second edition. Now we've played the One Ring in the Free League Lord of the Rings 5e variant, which is substantially different than standard 5e. So I guess my question for you guys is, and I know what some of you feel like in general, but what would you say about this version of Middle Earth? Is there things that you liked about it, and are there things that you really did not like about it? And we'll kind of maybe close out with that sort of note.
I thought the traveling, like not making that part just like, all right, you guys travel for 3 days and you're good, nothing happens, and then like moving on to the next step. I felt like, I mean, so much of the story of Lord of the Rings is the traveling. So much happens between the Shire and Mordor. They don't just skip right to Rivendell and then Moria, and then there's so much that happens in between each place that means so much. I did enjoy the fact that it also felt like the travel was part of the journey and not just like, all right, you guys travel to this next place. Like it really made it part of the campaign instead of just hitting the big points, if that makes sense.
Yep.
Which I thought was very cool. Which I think we kind of did as well when we played, when I was the Hobbit.
One Ring.
Yeah, the One Ring, and we did, and I also liked it then. I thought it gave, but we also kind of did it when I was the Wizard too, where like you didn't make it so that the travel was boring. You really like played into like the travel was part of the story, and I think that's like such a huge thing because it just feels like Middle Earth.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What do you think, Andrew?
Zach and I have talked about this. I think initially when I read the system, I thought, oh, this is a neat way to sort of simplify the classes to make it sort of less magic-y. But having played it, I don't see anything that this does better than 5th edition or any like base 5th edition or other systems. Like having gone through the classes, instead of having a fighter, ranger, and rogue, it basically has 7 versions of a multi-class fighter, ranger, rogue. Like they're all like the same class with slightly minor differences, except the lore master, which again, it's not without magic, it feels lackluster, at least from the reading. So, and for the ability checks, I thought there was an opportunity to subdivide some of the abilities to make it a little bit more spread out amongst other people, given how they were going to apply. Again, we talked even at the beginning of the session that my character, and again, I didn't purposely set out to build a skill monkey or anything. It's a single class basic character. And this character is the best at all parts of travel and can do 2 of them at a time. Like, why would you include such a character, such a class design in a game where that stuff's supposed to be spread out amongst the party?
Meanwhile, my character had nothing that they were good at except for lore and a little bit of lore and persuasion. That was it. That was the only things I had.
Yeah. So it was very like I don't see what the goals were or what the benefits were. Again, I enjoyed playing the campaign very much because it was us, but honestly, if this system didn't exist, we probably would have played the same exact game.
Yeah.
Like the system didn't enable it.
That's a great observation. I enjoyed the campaign too. I thought Zach was great as a DM. The four of us, I think, role played really well. We worked together well. But if you ask me, did I enjoy playing a captain in this campaign versus playing a bard in the 5e campaigns we ran? I preferred being a bard, right? I just feel 5e gives you greater versatility and differentiation than this system did, right? As a matter of fact, I don't know. I just felt that like Crithiel and Silmarion were, when it came to combat, both super jacked. Like maybe we weren't the same, but we were very close in terms of effectiveness, right? Whereas I would think if you were a fighter and I was a paladin in 5e, we would have felt a greater level of difference in what we were doing.
Yeah. Maybe. Again, I just feel like we enjoyed the campaign in spite of the system, not because of it.
Yeah, there's a couple of things, and I want to make sure Brian has a chance to add too, but I'll add a couple of things that I think are really solid about it, which are, I like the addition of patrons. Obviously, we tweaked that a little bit, but the idea of people that you meet along the way that are meaningful, that you have objectives with, and that if you succeed in interacting with them, you get a special bonus. Like, I think that that's a really fun aspect that we kind of leaned into heavily by saying you could have more than one patron at a time, which is not part of the rules. But I would say that like the idea of patrons is pretty cool. I also think like I really enjoyed rolling up nameless things, and just kind of like that idea of like a monster generator as part of the system is kind of fun. Doesn't really, you guys don't really see a lot of that on your end, but on my end, I thought that was a fun. Note.
That was a great encounter, by the way.
Yeah,
that was
like
a great encounter,
and that's something that I wouldn't have made if it wasn't for that kind of generator that the book has. And I know we just did a tiny bit of this, but I do like the treasure notes about hordes and your special weapons and gear. Like I thought that feels very Middle Earth. That like you find things and they have these special properties and blah blah blah. Like that to me I think was cool. The big struggle for me, and I'll throw it towards you guys. I think I agree with most everything you said that way, but the thing that I think we struggled most mightily with is I think the aspect of characters that is new, which is crafting or the crafts, like speechcraft, blah 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 blah. Like what I realized very early in is that these are so niche. They're so niche. Like how many times did Brian or Zach or somebody say, I have this craft ability. It doesn't really apply. Could I shape it? Could we twist it to be this other thing? And to me, like I think craft is meant to be like the replacement for spells in a lot of things. But it really didn't fill that gap. Mm-hmm. It was this very specific thing that if we would have held to the letter of the law with it, you guys would have basically never used. So that's the big oof for me was if you're going to replace spells, which is such a huge part of a 5e character for many characters, it needs to be with something that has just as much utility. And instead we replace it with something that you'd be lucky if you used once every 4 or 5 sessions.
And once you use it, then you can't use it for another long rest, which is a long
freaking time. You have to be resting in a place that is completely safe, which if you're going into, Moria or the South or Mordor or Mirkwood, like how many safe times are you going to actually have? So that's tricky. Yeah.
Yeah.
Brian, anything else that you would throw into the mix here?
Yeah, I agree that the travel was really cool. I feel like a well-designed 5th edition adventure with a few tables and a few cool encounters and little rules about the hex crawl that could be just dropped into 5th edition, and unfortunately it rarely is. So that was kind of cool that was a bigger part of it. So I did like that, like Zach said. I agree with the classes being kind of, I was just like, why can't I just play a ranger? Yeah, they've got nature magic, but so do some characters in, that's freaking elves. They have nature magic. Why can't I play there are wizards. Why can't I play a, regular fighter without changing it? It just didn't seem like I needed to switch any of that stuff. It was just, hey, let's make it different but not better. And yeah, when you're a bard, you've got 25 choices of spells, and you pick, maybe you got 10 that you actually learn and are prepared and all that. But that gives you that utility of, oh man, I could come at it laterally coming here. This was pretty much, do I hit them, or do I hit them and use my long cooldown ability to hit them twice? It just, it didn't have, the combat didn't have much. And part of that was my character was not built for combat at all. And I don't know if he ever hit anybody.
So running 2E campaigns, I actually found the classes better in that system than here. Like when I look back on both the campaigns, and Zach, you were in both of them, like everyone had a very distinct role. Like I think that Andrew made the point about kind of a certain bleed, that you just had like a bunch of multi-classing of things. People had a more distinct role in the 2E setup. I think maybe as they modified it to be a 5E system, those distinctions among the callings or the classes kind of got muddled.
Yeah. And then the final thing that I would throw out was, this group is great at, dialogue and great at diplomacy. That's what makes this particular group fun, because you really don't know whether, when you run a module, oh yeah, we're going to go to Abrakan, and then we're going to go through the ruins, and then we're going to do this. And you don't have a lot of say in the world. Here we could go anywhere, we could do anything. And it was a sandbox, but it was a diplomatic sandbox, not just if they go to the ruins, this attacks them. If they go to Umbar, they can either align with this person or they have to fight a battle. So I love that we're a very heavy diplomacy group, but here's the set things that you need to hit for 4 successes to have a council meeting, or 3 successes. That seemed rather arbitrary, whereas it could be just as arbitrary, that seemed too forced, whereas a good DM can say, hey, we need 3 successes, and you can influence how they react with your dialogue. You can affect the DC for those, but we will need 3 successes from 3 different people. I like that. And I feel like if you also, I can see Zach taking from the Dune campaign, which was 2D20 style campaign. If we took that idea of, I'm going to give you threat, or I'm going to give you, I want a success, but at a cost. And if you took that, hey, we need 3 successes. I'm going to make this one a low DC because you did such a great speech. This one's a higher DC because you're not as good at that, and you attacked him earlier. And this one, oh man, you rolled crap. You can still have a success, but it's going to come with a cost, and I'm going to determine that narrative's cost. I feel like with a good DM, that could work so much better. And with a crappy DM, roll 15. You roll and you roll and you roll, and we need 15s on them. Oh man, you guys didn't make any progress in Abrakan. Where do you want to go next? So I feel like if you've got a good enough DM, then they can determine that system. But I like that it isn't just, well, you came in, all right, somebody give me a good roll.
Yeah.
That there were some, I like the patrons. I like that little bit of, oh, I've got an oomph, just like we had in Dune, that oomph to put something over the top. And I'm going to spend that resource because this one's really important. And when I'm DMing a 5e campaign, I don't tend to build that in any of that resource. So I like that there was that oomph resource built in, but I feel like DM Fiat could have done a lot more than just and then adhering to the system.
It was very enlightened on your part, Zach, to give us multiple patrons because it made sense. If you go through a sequence in which you're going from place to place and you're engaging the leadership there in a positive, constructive way, you should get a benefit for that.
Yeah.
Whatever the boon is, it just makes sense.
Especially when they only last when you can only use them when you get so
limited.
few fellowship points and so few long rests.
So
It's good to have 4 different things in your toolbox.
So this isn't the only system that I've said this about in the last month, but I would say my summary review is this feels like a game, a system that needed another pass or two. There's several issues that, like, I think that the bones of it are great. By the way, the writing of this book is fantastic. Like, obviously there's a lot of care into, like, the language and the presentation style. Like, there's a lot of great stuff there. However, I think everything that we've just said, I could boil down to if this had been played a little bit more or read a little bit more, thought about a little bit more, or it had, like whatever it needed, right? You could build, I think, Brian, you said you could iterate on this in a way that gets it to a really solid presentation. There is a world in which that council phase isn't, like, right now it's just overly simple to where you need to get so many successes, and if you get a failure you're done. Like, that's basically how the book presents it. Like, all you need to do is just think about it for, like, have the time to ponder it and revise that to say, some other way of doing a skill challenge to where you need, in 5e typically you try to have so many successes before so many failures, but there's other ways of doing that. There's ways of basically taking what's here, and with a little bit of polish, I think you could have something that works really, really well. But I think what we see here, and Ulysses, you brought it up, is this conversion from One Ring 2e into 5e feels like it was something that was done with care, but not with time. And so what you get is a lot of good ideas that are executed at something above, par excellence, right? And something below that. And we could, I think, if I was to run this game again, this system again, I would tweak several things to better the experience to our group's liking.
But if
you'd let us go to the ruins.
You could have gone to the ruins, like that. That was always an option. Yeah.
But if the fact that it was, the fact that they said, hey, we've got our game, we've got our system, we worked really hard on One Ring. Let's, but if you're more familiar with 5e, I get your friends only want to play 5e. Hey, here, we've got something 5e for them. They can just plug it in. It didn't just plug in. There was so much different, and none of the, very little on the player side of the different was better.
Yeah.
It was just, it felt like it was just forced into 5e just because that's the only thing that people will want to play, which is true and fair, but any of the changes didn't seem to hit for me.
Yeah.
I would have just rather played a ranger or played a, some character. I'd love to see a scholar class.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
But yeah.
Zach, I see that you are fading fast.
And
it's
I'm so sorry.
No, it's good. It's good.
Yeah.
It's good. It's reasonable. It's
12:47.
Yeah, it's midnight for us, almost 1:00 for everybody else. Let's get out of here. Thank you guys for playing. I really enjoyed this campaign, and for those of you that are watching, appreciate Gridlock, History Professor, folks like that hanging out and watching this. Appreciate it very much. If you want, you can continue watching live streams here on the channel. We do a Zweihander game that just started, and we'll probably be continuing that in the next week or so. So keep an eye out for that. And who knows, we'll probably, if I was to roll dice on it, say that we have a pretty favorable chance of getting back into Middle-earth sooner rather than later. Thanks a lot, everybody, and we'll see you next time.
Have a good night.
Adios.